can plan out your budget, what to look out for. 2024 year has ended, and of course 2025. So again, I put the YouTube link. It's on like there live because I want to talk about some visuals that will really make sense for you guys as we go along. So I had shared earlier on the tweet, and again, guys, I'm not going to talk too much. It's really your space. If you guys have questions about basically how to plan your budget, this is your chance to send it to me, and we talk around it, right? But let me just share it. So if you're on YouTube, it's easier. You can see the visuals. Otherwise, I'll also share the visuals here on Twitter, but it's going to take some time, right? If you look on the space on the chat that I tweeted, and I'm going to redo it again, I gave you what to do for 2024 as you go in 2025, right? How you can review what has happened in the past year and how you can set yourself up for what's going to happen in the new year. That's what we try to do this space, right? So there are lots of tasks there. Looking at your income, your expenses, your net worth, and then building out a budget, building out your emergency funds, and sort of tying that all into a plan and into a program. That's essentially what we want to talk about today. And just for the folks on Twitter, I can retweet that particular trend, what you want to do first. But if you've got your pen, you've got your paper, I'm essentially going to just tell you how you want to basically go about this, right? So if you're writing down, and I'm going to repeat this all over and over, but if you're writing down, just start with this, right? So you've got to have a plan, right? And when I mean a plan, like a simple plan, what do you think you want to achieve in 2025? Very, very simple. It could be that you'd like to increase your income. It could be you want to be debt-free. It could be you want to go into get a home. But just have a plan that you can visualize. And that's just, I want you to have a target you're going to chase down in 2025. But then I want you to say how you're going to get to that plan is what I'm going to give to you now. So the very, very first thing I want you guys to do is, you're doing it in 2024, it's going to apply in 2025. The first thing you're going to do is to take a piece of paper, an Excel sheet, or even a program, and try to capture all the income that you're going to make. So you want to capture all the income that you want to make, right? And that income, you're going to divide the income into three specific points. One is going to be active income, ACTIV, active income. So your active income is what I want you to write down, active income. The second one is going to be your passive income. Passive income. So passive income is going to be income that you're going to make when you're not at work. Let's say you've got shares, you've got cash, that's your passive income. Then the last one is going to be your investment income. So there's active, there's passive, and there's investment income, all three. So I want you guys to write that down. And if you look on YouTube, right, I'm sharing that. And I'm going to also copy that and also share on Twitter. So YouTube, the infographic is there. You can see active, you can see passive. If you're on YouTube, you can see it, but I'm going to share it also on Twitter on this particular stream, so you guys also follow, right? So first things first, like I said, write out your income. And divide income into three: your active income, your passive income, and of course your investment income. So we've got that right. Now let's go into expenditures. You're also going to write down your expenditures. So these are just headers. You're going to have a header for expenditures. It's going to be your discretionary expenses and your non-discretionary expenses. So just two items for expenses: your discretionary and your non-discretionary, right? You got that down? So now you should have either 5 or 4 elements. One is going to be your active income, one is going to be your passive income. Then you're going to have total income, you're going to have discretionary expenses and non-discretionary expenses. So now I'm going to share on the Twitter space as well. So if you're on Twitter, just look at the latest tweet I just posted. You should see how I want you guys to do it. So I just shared that now on Twitter. So if you look at that infographic on Twitter, you're going to see number 1, active income. Number 2, you're going to see passive income. And then, of course, that's going to give you your total income. Do you guys see it? If you can see it, give me a thumbs up. I just shared it on Twitter, and it's also live showing. It's also live streaming on YouTube as well. So if you can see that diagram, give me a thumbs up so we can continue. Just go to the last tweet I just shared. You're going to see your active, your passive. Can you guys see that? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Perfect. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Your entire reason for working, for having a job, and when you mean you have a job, either you own your own business or you work for someone. This is exactly what you're trying to achieve. What you're trying to achieve is, number one, you want to earn income. So you see, number one is your active income. That is all the income you make because you are actively present. That's going to be your salary. And if you own your job, your own business earnings, that's number one, active. So if you go to work, or you're a partner in a job, or you are the CEO, you run your own company, that's active income. Number two is your passive income. That's income you make when you are not there. So that income, you're making an income when you are not there at all. That's going to be like your rent, your dividends. You own a home in London, you own home in Aba, you're getting rent from those places, you're getting dividend income. That's your dividend income. Total of both of them is going to be your total income. Total income, right? Your objective in life is to, number one, convert that active income into passive income. That's why you're working. When you have a job or when you work for yourself, you earn money. You've got to convert that income into income that comes when you are not working anymore. So that means that if I earn a salary, I take my salary. Of course, I have to eat. Of course, I have to buy clothes and all that. But I have to invest that salary so that I can then buy into a house or into a business that over time, the revenue I get from my passive income supersedes the revenues I get from my active income. When your passive income supersedes your active income, that's when you retire. So retirement is not a number. It's not 65, it's not 50. Retirement is when your passive income is more than your active income. If it happens at 20 years old or 100 years old, that's when you retire. So your total income is really not material. What is material for you is to convert your active income, your salary, into passive income, rental, dividends. That's what you are working for, nothing else. So what's the problem most of us have? Our problem is number 4 and number 3, our expenses. And you see how we broke down expenses. We broke down expenses into discretionary expenses and non-discretionary expenses. What's the difference? Non-discretionary expenses are the expenses that we must make. We can't avoid them. So we have to pay food, we have to pay rent. If we fall sick, we have to pay the doctor. You can't avoid these expenses. But your discretionary expenses are what you decide you want to spend money on. So the idea is this: your passive income has got to pay for your non-discretionary expenses. That's your short to medium term goal before you retire. So when you earn active income, number 1, you want to convert active income to passive income, number 2. In doing that, you've got to ensure that your passive income, number 2, is able to pay your number 3, which is the non-discretionary expenses. Now, when you start off life, you're going to find out that your total income is what's paying off your non-discretionary expenses because you don't have a lot of passive income. If you just start work today, you earn salaries, but you have no assets. So you work for a bank, for instance, in Lagos. You get paid ₦1 million a month. That's your active income. But you have no assets. You have no car. You have no house of your own. So no passive income. So your total income is paying your number 4 and your number 3. Your job, short to medium term, is to try to ensure that your passive income can pay your number 3, so that what you are earning from your investments can at least cover what you must spend. That's your half retirement. If you can hit that, that means that you are halfway there, because if you stop working, you can at least pay your expenses. This is what we call the emergency fund. When you create an emergency fund, it is 3 to 6 months of number 3. So your emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of your non-discretionary expenses. So when you start to work active income, you want to open up a savings account and save in that account an amount that can cover at least 3 times your non-discretionary expenses. So you see what we've introduced now. We've brought in emergency funds, we've brought in active income, passive income, discretionary expenses, and we've brought in retirement. This is the only infographic you need for your job, whether you work for yourself, whether you work for a company. This is all you have to know. Print this out, you put it on your mirror, and every day you ask yourself, have I converted active income to passive income? Is my passive income number 2? Can it pay my number 3? That's your emergency fund. So it's not a number. Your emergency fund is not a number. It is 3 to 6 months of whatever you say your number 3 is. So if you say your number 3 includes traveling to London for summer, then your number 2, which is your passive income, has got to pay for number 3. You've got to save enough. But if you are prudent and you say, no, my number 3, which is my non-discretionary expenses, has to only cover things that are really important to me: food, rent, medical, then it becomes smaller. So the amount you then save as your emergency fund becomes much, much, much smaller. So it's your call. There's no best practice for this. What we've told you that you decide. When you decide, you create your budget, because it's your budget. When you do this infographic, you create a budget to then save on number 3 and number 4. You just don't create a budget for media. You create a budget because you want to keep your number 3 and number 4 in sync. Folks, I don't want to be the only one talking. So let's talk about, if you have questions on this chat, let's hear them. I'm going to go back to YouTube in case you guys have put something there. So we'll talk about just this particular chart. Let me see. Then if you have a question on this, we can then go further now into the other parts of this diagram, which is going to be your budgets, your reviews, and how you can ensure that you are capturing this properly. Do something you can follow. It's going to be an Excel sheet or a notepad. It's not going to be technical, or don't make it too complex. Get your income. I'm going to repeat again. Get your income, right? And on your income, divide it into active, passive. I didn't put investment income here, but add investment income. So you have 3 income legs: active, passive, investment. Investment is also passive. If you can't separate them, if not, leave it in passive. Then create your expenses, number 4 and number 3, your discretionary and your non-discretionary. So what you are trying to accomplish, again, like I said, is to move your active, number 1, to your passive, number 2. That's the first thing you want to accomplish. The second thing you want to accomplish is to ensure that your number 2, your passive, can pay your number 3, your non-discretionary expenses. And that's your emergency fund. That's your first fund that you build. When you start to work, you don't start to invest. You want to do your emergency fund first before you start to invest. Make any sense, guys? Okay, perfect. So who wants to speak? Request to speak. I want it to be interactive. I'm reading your tweet, but I do want it to be interactive. And if you have any questions, I want to hear them. Let me see. So just to clarify, yes, that's what I said. So investment is going to be, thank you, Deji. Investment is going to be part of your passive. If you want, you can separate it. So I can separate investment from, say, rentals. There's a reason for that, but that's going to be too technical, I think. Yes, correct. So your non-discretionary are going to be, just another question from Oyemachi. Your non-discretionary expenses is what you say it is. Food clearly is non-discretionary. But if you then say that, for instance, that you're sending money home to your family is not discretionary, okay, you have to put it there as well. The point is this: whatever you say is your non-discretionary, then it has to be covered by at least 3 times of your 3 to 6 times savings in your emergency fund. Your emergency fund is what covers number 3. And that's what you first of all build in your passive before you then talk about the retirement. Your long-term goal, if you start working by 25, the long-term goal is that when you are, say, 65 or whatever age it is, that your number 2 replaces your number 1. Rich people, the way you know someone that is rich, they have more passive income than active income. What's his name? Elon Musk is rich today. If he stops working today, he's not going to go broke, right? Because he's got equity in companies that would keep on paying him a dividend. If he stops working today, he's not going to go broke. That's the point. Olumide, how you doing? Welcome in. Thanks again for joining. I appreciate that. What's in your mind, sir?
Well, I just wanted to make it more interactive. I totally like the way you dissected the strategies for allocating your expenses and intention of planning for next year. So I just wanted to support.
Exactly. I mean, it's because I think people have a lot of words fly around sometimes. People say emergency funds, people say active income. I want to bring it all together. That's what this infographic is showing you. Where's your budget? Your budget comes in your 3 and your 4. Emergency fund comes in your number 2 and number 1. So it's all in this chart. If it's the only chart you want to take away, you basically have learned everything in it, right? So I see lots of questions. I've answered most of the questions I see as regarding this chart. I answered most of them. You decide what is not discretionary. You decide, right? If you decide, that's what you have to budget for. But I would say this: keep your non-discretionary only for things that you think you need or that are important. If sending money if paying for gym is health-wise correct, then it's non-discretionary. Going to the gym is healthy, so it's not an expense. But you want to pay for how much do you pay for the gym? Is that the best gym you can go for? Can you save money, go to cheaper gym? Those are the things you want to ask yourself. But as a whole, paying for gym, yes, can be non-discretionary. So that's answering your question, DG. So I want to move on to another part of now how we want to do the financial health check for 2025. But I want to make sure we understand this chart before I then change it out and then plug in the other one. So if there are no other questions, let's now go. I'm going to change the YouTube as well, the picture there, and I'm going to copy this out so that I can share it also on Twitter. Then we can follow. This is how we're going to go step by step in 2025. What I want you guys to do step by step in 2025, right? What you're going to do, you're going to review your 2024, and then you're going to do your 2025. That's what I'm doing right now. So let's go, and I'm going to copy this. I shared this as well on my page, but we're going to copy this, and then we're going to share it as well so you guys can follow again. So let me change the infographic we have on YouTube. It's going to be this one now. Change this guy out, and then we're going to plug in our financial goals. What we want to do here is we want to set up financial goals, right? So if you're on YouTube, we're talking about setting up your financial goals. And like I said, the financial goal can be what you want it to be. You can have multiple financial goals. You can have one single financial goal, but it's got to be measurable. It's got to be something that you can know that you have achieved. So if you say, I want to be rich, that's not a financial goal because we don't know. I want to have X amount of money. It's a bit more direct, put by a date. So have a financial goal and put a date to it. That's how we know you're basically there. Thank you for the information. We'll invest reasonably. Yep. Is it safe to invest in is it also safe to invest in high risk investment in banks? Banks typically, right, don't offer you high risk investments. Bank gives you the chance to deposit money. If you are scared of putting money in the bank, deposit only according to NDIC or FDIC protection, right? If you're that scared. If you put your money in the bank in Nigeria, you are covered up to 5 million. If you put your money in the bank in America, you're covered up to 250,000. But bank deposits are always insured up to that limit. So if you just put the money in the bank, it's good. But you want to ask yourself, when you put the money into the bank, is it giving you passive income? Not savings account, not current account, but you want to invest with the bank like a certificate of deposit or something that is tradable so you can earn that passive income back to you. That's the point of passive income. Abayomi, how you doing? Let me take your question before we share this. Abayomi, go ahead. What's up?
Okay, so not a question really. I've been doing some readings actually, and I think one of the most important things in actually defining discretionary and non-discretionary bills are also defining wants from needs, because a lot of people actually model the needs plus wants, as in you can't really tell what is your want, which is not important, you can live without, and what is your need.
I agree.
That's just
Completely
what I
agree.
wanted to contribute.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that wants and needs is a very, very simplified way of saying discretionary and non-discretionary. So if you want something, is that's going to be your discretionary. I want a Rolls Royce, but that's discretionary. But I need to eat food. That's non-discretionary. So I mean that's an excellent way of putting it in non-financial terms. But your number three and number four, very important because you build your budget around what you define as non-discretionary and discretionary. Remember, we've talked about two and three is your emergency fund. That's your emergency fund. Whatever you put in number three has to be covered by your emergency fund. When I mean covered, it means that you want to create a fund that you save 2 to 3 times whatever you put in number three. You do that before you invest. You don't invest before doing your emergency fund. Your emergency fund comes first before you invest. Why? Because you can lose your job, but you can get a new job in say maybe a month or two. If you go ahead and you invest without building an emergency fund, when you lose your job, you'll be forced to sell your investments to cover for your loss of income. So first of all, build your emergency fund, even if it's 1 month before you start to invest. Don't jump and invest without building an emergency fund. All right, guys. So just going to share. Let me also get Bankole. Hi, Bankole. What's on your mind?
Hi, Kalu. Thanks so much for holding this space. I think it's such an amazing opportunity to tap into your wealth of knowledge. I really, really appreciate that, and I appreciate the time you're putting into this. My question is, we're planning towards 25 with the hyperinflationary environment we have now. I mean, earlier on this year, there was a period where over a weekend, my power, the cost of my power went up by almost 200%. So, what would you advise? What would you advise on a way to plan for budgeting for next year? Like, how should we think about it in terms of our budgeting for the non-discretionary expenditure and all that?
So let's use that to dovetail into. If you just guys, I've just shared on my Twitter page now the how to do the budget. I've gone into if you look at the Twitter page now, Bankole, you'll see where I've just shared chapter 27 of my book, How to Set About Financial Goals, and we're now reviewing last year's budget. So what you want to do, great question, not just power. When you do a budget for the year in review, you are saying, you are talking for 2025, you are saying, I want to spend 10 naira on fuel, but you don't know the future. The future could have the cost of fuel is going to go up. So look at our chart again. What you want to do is to budget, like I said, 3 to 6 months non-discretionary expenses in a separate account. 3 to 6 months non-discretionary expenses. Fuel is going to be a non-discretionary expense. So if you had an emergency fund and suddenly power went up, you had something that you had to first of all tap into before you go back to your budget and you basically redo your entire budget. The cost of fuel increase is material. It's material to your entire budget. That means you've got to do a new budget. The federal government does supplementary budget. You've got to do the same thing. You've got to go back to your budget, cut away some expenses, and take more money and allocate towards what you call a non-discretionary expense. But remember, if you earn more from active, it's also part of meeting that plan. So the point I make is this. There are two ways to meet unforeseen expenses. Number one is to plan ahead for them. So you have more money in your non discretionary expenses, which we call number 3. Number 2 is you can go into debt, which we don't really like, but you have to do it. And then again, you can say, okay, you want to then try to increase your active or your passive. You understand? So three ways. Number 1, have more money in your emergency fund. Number 2, borrow well. Or number 3, you want to increase your number 1 and number 2, which is your active or your passive income. Does that help, sir?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
That's a fantastic answer. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, please.
Thanks
The whole idea is to want to make everything automated. We don't want the guesswork to go with it. We don't want the guesswork to say, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to that." Automate everything. So if you are paying 1,000 naira for diesel, it goes to 5,000. You can't earn 4,000 in a day. Nor can you just walk into a bank. If you don't have credit card, you can't just get 4,000. So your emergency fund becomes your first line of defense. When you go there, first of all, and get the funds to pay for the increase in diesel, why should you then say, how can I redo my budget, or how can I earn more? That's going to be how you are going to address that. So I've shared now. Great, Bankley. I'm hanging there if you want. No problem. Let's see. Yeah. So I've shared now the financial health check on Twitter, and it talks about review. So let's do the review for this year. We're going to review for 2024. The first thing you want to do is look at your spending. And guys, it's on Twitter. It's also on YouTube. That's the first page here. That's page 243 on my book, Let's Talk About Your Money. It says the first thing you do, look at your spending. Did you track expenses during the year? Do you know where all your end income went to? What were your 3 expense items? Did you identify them to reduce them? So you've got to start now for 2025 to answer these questions. Did you track your expenses? If you didn't, well, 2025, you've got to track every single kobo that goes from your active and passive to be spent. You get a book or an Excel sheet. Every single kobo that you spend, you write it down. You do it for 90 days. Write down your expenses. Take these notes down, guys. Write down your expenses. Then you categorize those expenses. So if you write down, I went to Mr. Biggs, I bought ice cream, I bought suya, I went to the club. All that is food. But what's the category? There's eating out, there's eating in. If you buy food in the grocery or you eat food outside, there are 2 different categories. You eat in, you eat out. Categorize them. So number 1, write down your expenses. Number 2, categorize your expenses. That's the learning point from this first point there. Look at your spending. Did you track expenses? So what you want to do, the learning from number 1 point there is number 1, track all your expenses. Number 2, categorize your expenses. Why are you doing this? Because when you categorize, that's when you can then apply a budget for each category. That's how you do a budget. So let's use an example. I have 5,000 naira that I spent. I write down exactly how I spent that 5,000 naira. I categorize food. I bought groceries for 1,000, but I ate out for 2,000. I've categorized them. When I do a budget in 2025, I will then say, do I want to spend 2,000 eating out? If I say no, I reduce 2,000 to 1,000. Then where do I apply that extra 1,000? I can say, okay, I want to take it to pay for my diesel because diesel has gone up. So you've got to be scientific about it. Write down the expenses. Every expense, you give bribe, write it down. You give money to your girlfriend, write it down. You lend someone money, write it down. Every expense, then categorize. Lots of apps do it for you for free. Lots of apps do it for you for free. You categorize. Then when you do the budget, what a budget is you are assigning figures to a category to be spent in the future. That's a budget. It's not complicated. So diesel expense this year, I spent 10,000. I categorize that as utilities. Next year, am I going to spend more or less? If I'm going to spend more, maybe 15,000, where will the extra 5,000 come from? You go back to your categories. Wow, I'm spending money on suya. So suya money has got to go. We're going to go from suya to diesel. Or you go to your income. Oh, I only worked for 40 hours this year. So I'm going to work for 50 hours so that I can earn more to eat suya and buy diesel. It's all got to tie in. If you don't have a budget, you will simply do exactly what you've done. You will take your money from suya to buy diesel. Because you don't have any budget, you still spend on suya, then you go into debt. Debt is the last thing we want to do, right? It's necessary, but we want to keep it as a last resort. So that's your plan. Categorize expenses, record expenses, categorize expenses, assign numbers to your categories. That's your budget. So let's look at number 2. What about your budget process? Did you set up a budget? I've just told you how to do a budget now. So you want to do that for 2025. Did you follow your budget? That's the hard part. Did you maintain a surplus budget in the month? What months? Why did you have a surplus? Why did your income go down? You've got to ask those questions and answer them because you want to know why you made a surplus. Sometimes you could say, okay, I want to spend more money on I want to spend 10,000 on utilities, PMS, but you spent less. Did you spend less because you used the bus or because you could not afford to spend more? You've got to ask those questions, answer them, then redo your budget. It's got to, again, guys, you've got to follow that methodology. You can't guess it. You can't hope it. Write it out, categorize it, assign a number, and then implement. So it's asking, still on a budget. Did your income go up? Did your expenses come down? It's asking why you are able to meet your budget. Did you meet your budget because you earned more, thus you are able to spend more, or did you cut down your spending, thus you're able to keep your budget going? So it's asking that question to you. How did debt picture into your plan in this current year? Did you borrow to meet your budget, or did you cut down expenses? Ask that question and answer it. Did your debt go up? Did your debt come down? Very, very important questions. Because see what we're doing here is that we're asking this question because the answers tell you what to do in 2025. If you are surviving on debt, what is happening? If you go to that first chart I showed you, is that instead of you using your active and passive income to pay your discretionary and not discretionary, you are borrowing, you are bringing in loans into your active income. And the loan is not income, right? So when you bring in loan, you get cash, but you are also increasing your non-discretionary expenses. If you borrow 1,000, it comes in as passive income, but it goes out as non-discretionary expenses. But your active is just coming in. It's only you earn a salary, is coming. But when you borrow, it's two-legged, right? So you can borrow short-term to meet a need and all that. But remember, borrowing is front-loaded consumption. When you borrow today, you are front-loading your consumption. So again, we go back. Did your debts go up and down? Are you maintaining high cost debt on your balance sheet? So those two questions, number 1, number 2, talk about your income. They bring in debt. They show you how to do a budget. So let me go back to the Sheriff. What's on your mind, Sheriff? Hey, Sheriff S, what's on your mind, man? Queen, let's take Queen. Queen K, what's on your mind? How you doing today?
Hi, Kalu. Thank you so much for. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for tonight, and thank you for granting my mic. Yeah, I really love this space because I have so many things I want to ask you for clarity, and I mean, I would love to share it, and then probably when I'm free, can ask me to ask you. I don't know if it's time. I should go ahead or I should wait.
You can ask a question if you want.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Okay, now, talking about someone who haven't handled a big amount of money. Let's assume 100,000. like in Nigerian currency, 100,000 naira. Someone have not touched that, I've not handled it, and it just landed due to probably what he or she is doing, and the money just land. And the person, at that point, there's this spirit that, something you've not touched before, something you've not handled. There's how you feel. Like me personally, I'll feel things. I'll feel like I want to go crazy. I'll feel like, my head is big. I don't know. I feel like the money is bigger than me. I don't know. I'm just saying it because that's what I used to feel. And because of that, I will not be able to give accountability on how to spend the money judiciously, and it's a problem. So, what will you advise such situation? Thank you so much. I have another one.
That's a great question, Queen. Great question, because it happens to everybody on earth. Everybody. The first time I made quote unquote big money, I made millions. I didn't expect it. Somebody wanted to buy something. I knew someone that was selling. I just brought them together. I got a commission. I had no idea I was going to make that much money in my life. Do you know how I spent it? I went to London. I went to Selfridges. I bought Gucci slippers. I bought designer clothes. I enjoyed. And the reason why I do these things is because I'm talking from experience. Let nobody fool you. We are all emotional. Humans are emotional. We like to spend. We like to look good, want to show off. But experience is the best teacher, not your experience, my experience. Never learn from your experience. Learn from the experience of those that have told you, hey, we've done that, been there, it's not worth it. So the way you want to treat a windfall income is, first of all, you just lock it away. First things first, we're trying to change your mind, not your money, your mind. The book I wrote, right, the second chapter is behavioral finance. I put that in there for a reason. So if you can change your behavior, you can change your way you earn money. Money is a spirit. If you respect money, it stays. If you disrespect it, it goes away. So when you get money, the very, very first thing you want to do is to keep that money where you can't touch it, while you then think about, okay, what should I do about it? So if you get 100,000 naira, go out, if you're in America, you buy a certificate of deposit for, say, 3 months. Which means in the next 3 months, you can't touch it. If you're in Nigeria, you put in a fixed deposit. So you can take time to exhale, to see, okay, what should I do? One of the best ways to spend money is to pay down your debt. Because if you pay down your debt, you can never regret it, right? When you pay down your debt, that's 100% return on capital. So even if you don't know, you have to spend money, you don't trust yourself, ask yourself, am I owing anybody? Yes, go pay them. But it's not the best way, right? I would prefer that if you have written a budget and you have done this and you get 100,000, where would you put it? There's active income, there's passive income, there's expenses, there's emergency fund. Where would I put this money? I'll put it, Queen, in my passive income. So if I buy something, the capital has gone away. So all I'm going to get is going to be returns, dividend returns. If I spend the dividends, okay, I've enjoyed, but I still have my capital. So if I take my capital, put in a bank in Nigeria will pay you nearly 30%. So if you put 100,000 in a bank, Nigeria will give you nearly 30,000. Okay, even if you spend that 30,000, you've only spent 1 year's return. So, but you've not touched your principal. So if you use my style, put the money in your passive income. So it generates passive income for you. If you don't trust yourself, go and pay down the debt or lock the money away. But whatever you do, you've got to have a plan. And you can only have a plan if you have a budget. You can't walk your way into it and say, when I get to the time, I will do it. No. If you're not prepared, the money will go. So, Queen, the only way you can fight that spirit that's making you spend money is not to have the money at all. If you earn income, do automatic investment into investment portals. If you are going to get big money, already spend money, right? You tell your banker, money is coming, take this money and buy this from you. So the money doesn't come to you, but give yourself a chance to spend. Take 10% and blow it, no problem. Take 10%, go haywire, but 90% invest it. We're humans. We're not robots. We want to enjoy. So I'm not going to tell you not to enjoy, But take out 10% for FU money, then just blow it. The 90% invested into your passive income so that it's there for you year in, year out. Does that help, Queen?
Yeah, that is very, very helpful. But on the other hand, have you thought about this in this way? It's going to be fun a bit, but I'm being real, right? I'm not trying to make it look like, oh, yeah, I'm being real. Now, some people will say, if you put the money there and, you're not touching it, and probably you die, it's a next of kin. It's a next of kin that will enjoy it and all of that.
Yeah. I hear you.
I mean,
it's a great, again, Queen, you are asking very, very good, great question. Look at it this way. What if you don't die and you get to 60 years old and you have no house, you have no income, you have no money for medicals? What happens then? So remember that when I put the first chart up with the 1 to 5, you are investing money to create passive income for yourself, not for your next of kin, for yourself. If you, when you, right, I'm not sure how old you are, but you look very young. You have the years that you're going to work. When you work, you've got to compound your income so that you have income flow for you when you stop working. So think about that. That is not just investing for your next of kin, but for yourself. When you are 60, even if you want to work and you are more responsible, can you still have that strength to wake up, get to traffic, and go do a job in your active work? It's easy to do passive income. So look at it that way, that whatever you are investing, it's for you to earn passive income down the line. Again, take 10%, blow your 10%, but try to invest that 80 or 90% so that it generates passive income for you. Remember what I'm saying? I'm saying even if you spend the passive income, I'm not mad at you. But if you spend the principal, yeah, I'm mad at you, right? So that's what I want you to quit. Look at it as principal and interest. If you don't trust yourself, okay, I agree. Spend the returns. But that principal, please invest it. Then we are friends. Is that okay?
Yeah, beautiful.
All right.
Awesome.
Queen.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. Engineer Suleiman, how are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Your weekend?
It was excellent. Thanks for asking. Do you have a question in mind?
No, actually, I'm just joining this space.
Excellent. Just hang in there for us, sir. All right. So now let's go. Yeah. Now let's go back to our charts for number 3. Number 3 is asking you look at your current net worth. Net worth. Remember, we've talked about income, expenses. We've talked about budgets, emergency fund. Now we're talking about net worth. Income is not the same thing as net worth. So if I earn ₦1 million, it does not mean I am worth ₦1 million. It doesn't. I have to convert my 1 million naira to passive income. That's only when I am worth $1 million. So the question is asking you, look up your current net worth. Do you have a schedule of your assets and liabilities? So I'm asking you guys now, do you have anywhere on the internet or an Excel sheet where you have listed every asset you have? Your Arsenal jersey, your land in Moe, your car with the VIN number. Do you have any place where you have detailed all your assets and your liabilities on an Excel sheet anywhere? You have to do that, right? And it's also asking you, do you have, so your assets and liabilities, divide your assets and your liabilities. When you do your what you own and what you owe, divide it. Income generating assets on one side, non-income generating assets on the other side. So what do I mean? If you own a car, is that car an asset or a liability? Accountants will say that the car is an asset, but are they correct? If you spend more money on the car than you earn, that car is a liability. So you want to divide in your asset column, divide into assets that give you money and assets that take away money from you. Income generating assets, non-income generating assets. Same thing with your liabilities. You want to say, are you paying debts on that liability or are you not paying debt? Look at it this way. If your father gives you money, he dashes you money, and he says, you are owing me, oh, yes, he only expects you to pay him back the principal. He might not expect you to pay him back with interest. So that's a liability, but it's not interest generated, right? Same thing if you work for a cooperative, right? Cooperative could say, we're going to give you money at low interest of maybe 2%. It's a liability, but very, very low liability, right? So you want to divide your assets and your liabilities into interest bearing, non-interest bearing, income cost, non-interest cost. Then you want to ask yourself some questions. Are you richer today? What is rich? Rich is that your assets are more than your liabilities. You want to ask yourself, how did you leverage your net worth? If you are rich, what did you do about it? Did you take more assets and invest to make more passive income down the line? Right? How did you create multiple streams of income? Are you only earning from one source and that one source is then generating your assets? So, number three is asking you not to look at your assets, your liabilities, to divide them into what they are earning and what you're paying out, and to ask yourself, are you insulated from one multiple source of income or two? So number one is talking about your expenses, right? What are your expenses? Are you tracking them and all? Number two is showing you how to budget. So it's saying put your income and expenses into a budget. Assets don't go into a budget. What goes into a budget is your income and your expenses. The number three now saying you should bring it together and talk about your net worth. Your net worth is your difference between your assets and your liabilities, right? Perfect. Let's get a few questions in here. Let's get I've got son of David. Is that, no, the story behind Nigeria. How you doing?
Yeah. Good day. Good
Good
evening,
day.
sir.
Yeah, what's your mind?
Sir, thank you very much. This is the first time I'm giving me opportunity to ask the question here. I'm really pleased and thank you very much. I wanted to ask, if you're running a business that currently is not in Nigeria, you are using a different currency, but you can be able to transfer it to your local currency without having much tax on it, then which one would you advise? Is it more advisable to save your emergency income to your local currency, or the currency traded on the particular place? So that's my question, sir.
Let's make it particular. So let's say I work for a UK company. UK company pays me pounds, right? And I spend money in Nigeria, right? For this specific case, I'll always keep my money in the foreign currency. Why? Less inflation. So that's an inflation question. If you have the opportunity to earn money in a foreign currency or the local currency, I would always advise you hold the foreign currency because of inflation, right? Then you can always do your calculation and say, okay, what's the exchange rate? If the exchange rate is 1 to 100, so I keep £1 per 100 naira, but I still maintain the numerical value of the emergency fund, but I simply hold the funds in that foreign currency and not naira, because the naira would depreciate faster. So I have to keep on maintaining my emergency fund every year. It has to keep on going up and up and up and up. But if I had it in dollars or pounds, the inflation is less on dollar and pound. So I don't have to keep on putting money into my emergency fund. It's a great question, because the best way, you don't take your emergency fund and you invest it. No, you're not supposed to take emergency fund and buy shares. It has to be cash or near cash. Your emergency fund is going to be cash or near cash, which means that if you hold cash in naira, you're going to lose money via inflation. So I always recommend, if you have the opportunity, if you are blessed and you have that income, hold it in the foreign currency. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, let me get Ayo Aloba. Ayo, how you doing? What's your mind? Ayo Aloba.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
How you doing? What's your mind? Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kalu. But what's on my mind is simple. Where have you been where was this meeting when I just got my job last 2 years? Where was this meeting? Because I kind of come from a background where we didn't really have enough of this financial literacy. And I know that my story is not that unique.
Yeah.
You know, when you grow up in a home where you have seen your parents survive on the grace of God, like God will provide. So you kind of grew up to have that mentality. So, and I think when I got my job in Abuja last 2 years, I made a lot of that mistake unconsciously. And towards this, I think November, towards this November, I learned the hard way. I met some friends and some mentors, and exactly all the things you were saying were the things they told me. Like, do you have a budget? Do you have a plan? Do you have control over your money? So immediately I saw this stuff, I just clicked in immediately because I wanted to learn more. And so far it has been nice. But my situation is this. Due to my reckless expense, I earn over 100K per month, working as a research and policy analyst. So, but at the end of the year, I was in negative.
Okay.
And so I was in negative. So right now, I now know, okay, I have some information, I have some knowledge. Okay, I need to budget this, my non-discretionary, I need to have them sorted. Discretionary, I need to have them sorted. So how does someone like me now go from here to paying off the negative?
So Ayo,
then start building up like a safe, like you called it, like emergency fund.
I got you. Ayo, start from the very, very beginning, like what I said, start from the very, very beginning. So were you here when I shared that chart that talks about how you do number one, number two, number three, number four? Did you see that chart I shared? Your income.
Yes, I saw the picture first before the
perfect. So start from there. Go back and on an Excel sheet, list out your income. List out your active income. Do you have any passive income right now?
No.
Okay.
I don't have any.
So now you have only active income. You are missing passive income, which means you can't retire. That's what it means. You can't retire. So number one thing you want. Sorry?
I'm still quite young to retire now.
No, retirement is not an age. Retirement just means when your passive income can pay your non-discretionary expense, then you can retire.
Okay.
So first of all, you have your active income. You want to say, okay, I don't know if I can share it on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, I will share the info, the chat with you, but on Twitter, not really. You want to take an amount, even if it's 10%, even if it's 5%, once you earn your income, pay yourself first. Take that money and put in your passive income. Passive income here means that you are investing into something you're not going to touch today, but you touch tomorrow, maybe in 10 years' time. So you can say, for instance, I want to buy a mutual fund in Nigeria, or I want to use those apps and buy a mutual fund in America. 10%, 5%, it doesn't matter. What matters is the consistency. So you earn 100,000, take out 10,000 and invest immediately. That's your passive income. You do that, you lock up. Now, from that active income you now have 90. You look at your non-discretionary and your discretionary. Your debt is under non-discretionary, which means you must pay that debt. There's debt management strategy separate from even your budget. There's a stress-based strategy on debt. I think we're going to talk about debt somewhere on this channel, and I'll show you how to get out of debt. You either do snowball or you do avalanche method. You basically say you want to attack that debt and pay off the principal. It can be a 4-year, 3-year, 2-year, doesn't matter. But you want to pay off the principal, which means when they give you a loan, every month you pay interest. You want to pay more to the principal. So you kill that debt off faster. Which means for now, if you draw up your budget, Ayo, your passive income cannot pay your non-discretionary. Your total income, can your total income cover your debt and your non-discretionary expenses? Question for you. So like what I'm asking you is this, when you earn money, can you pay your loan off and also pay your expenses?
No. I can only do one of both.
So the problem is really your income. So you have an income problem. That's why I think the problem is, because if your income has got to pay at least to service your debt and your expenses. If it can't do that, then you don't have to go any further. You have an income problem on top because you can't change the debt and you must eat food. So we can't tell you don't eat food, pay the debt. You've got to go back to your income side and grow that income base. That's what you need to do. Get a second job, get a side gig, but you've got to grow that debt. If you can refinance your debt, that helps. But you've got to focus on the income so you can pay at least one of your debt or your expenses. Because if that can pay off your I need to talk about your expenses, so your non-discretionary, then you want to focus on that. And I can give you, if you go on, you see my name, www.kaluaja.org. If you go to that site, you will see an Excel sheet I have there. You can use it. It's for free. You can plug in your figures. It will show you exactly what I want you to do, to show you how much you are making, where you are negative, and you can actually use that chart to reprogram your income. So if you go to the website here, just kaluaja.org, you'll see, let me go here, you'll see it's called financial calculator. Yeah, you can use that calculator and sort of plug those in, and it should give you something that, but you have an income problem. None that helps.
Thank you so much. That's exactly what the information I gathered. So I'm already working on that.
Yeah,
building up skill and everything. Thank you.
And even if you can't raise your income, you've got to try to pay that debt off. The principal. Try to pay that principal off. Very, very important, right? I appreciate you coming in. Just if you go to if you go to that website, you just go in and you plug in your expenses to calculate lots of stuff for you. Yeah. So try and use that guy.
Yeah, I'm there now.
Perfect. Let me know. Yeah, let me know.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome. I got great X_post. How you doing, sir?
Hello, Mr. Kalu. Good day. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, sir. What's up? Go ahead.
Yeah, fine. Mine is, I don't know if I should even direct this question to you, but I just have to raise the issue. Mine is about, currently now we have unemployment rate, quote unquote, 4.something%. But between the two of us, we know that we have a lot of youths roaming around in their mid-30s, in their 40s, some in their late 20s. Post university without any job, without any income, or barely making ends meet. Some of them with PA and SSA job, which we know after 1 year or 2 years it's off. And these people are going to grow up to 40s, 50s, and 60s with little or no income, little or no skill, but with expenses for that age waiting for them. So what advice do you have for those people? Because now we all know the shape that Nigeria is now, and we don't know what things will be in about 10 or 20 or 15 or even 8 years' time. And then these people will be in their 40s and 50s, and we'll have to, even if things get better, they will have to compete with people in their 20s and 30s with the same skill that is required for that time, or they with even lesser skills. So what... I think do you understand the question or the issue I'm trying to raise?
Are you saying that if you're Nigerian, you're at a disadvantage to folks abroad? Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
No. I'm not even comparing Nigeria to folks abroad. That's another issue. What I'm saying is that now you have a young man in his 30s roaming around the street, nothing to hold on to, nothing, any peanuts or any nothing. He's going to become 40, 50 and his savings to fall back to. And let's even assume things get better in about that time, let's say 20 years' time. And there are jobs everywhere. We both know what I'm talking about. He will have to compete at that time with people of 20s and 30s with the skill for that time. But him with age not on his side, skill not on his side, savings not on his side. So what advice do you have for people now that are in this position now so that they can be in a better position in 10, 20 years' time?
So you know, right, there's in financial planning, we have this metric that we use, right, that says that the older you are, you have more assets than the younger you are. The younger you are, you have more income and less assets. Look at what Ayo was just here. Ayo earns an income.
Yes, but we both know, but we both know that now, at the rate we are going as a nation in Nigeria, that matrix will soon be turned on his head. We are going to add
you're not letting me explain. So what I'm saying is that you have to, when you're a young person, whatever income you get, you've got to buy assets today. You've got to buy assets today. Let me tell you a story. When I was in university, the guy above me that left Nigeria, he was like, I was in year 1, he was in year 4. He was one of the first staff of Zenith Bank. Back then, Lekki roundabout was Lekki 1. There was no Lekki 2, Lekki 3. He bought land in Lekki 2. and he left Nigeria for 10 years. When he came back to Nigeria, somebody offered him $1 million for that same land he bought. When he bought the land, it was swamp. So when you are younger, you've got to buy assets that are going to generate an income for you tomorrow. You can't compete in Ikoyi. You can't compete in buying stocks. You've got to try to use your money to make the largest impact for you so that down the line, if you have bought those assets, the assets appreciate and allow you to then invest. If you wait till you make money, you will never buy any asset in Lagos State or Abuja or Port Harcourt or Abia. You will never. You've got to, when you are younger, go into debt to buy an asset so that when you are older, you have that asset with now income to invest. Then it's the same in this thing you are saying is the same in America. If you are younger, you are still going to grow up and compete with the younger folks that are earning money in tech that are going to be earning more than you. But time makes your money compound. Time makes your assets compound. If you buy a property, if you buy raw land in one village 20 years ago, this year that village will be worth more. And that's your advantage. The advantage that time has compounded that investment over the years. If you wait, then of course you are competing like what you're saying, and you can never beat them because they have more income than you.
Yeah, you're very correct. But the challenge now is this. I think you are much older than me. So I would say I'm a bit closer to the generation I'm talking about than you. The challenge now is this. The people in this age bracket now are fighting to stay alive, not even to invest. Everything they have now is targeted geared towards being alive.
I agree.
Not to invest.
I agree.
So they're not investing anything right now. And so there's even nothing to appreciate to
and that's why and that's the point. You are right. There's no, and that's the point I make, right? That the folks that are going to be rich in 20 years' time are the folks today that are investing. It's not going to change. I'm not here to, I can't answer that. Like, I know what you're asking me, but you say people can't invest, but people are, you can still buy a phone, people can still buy clothes. I mean, it's your call. What I'm telling you is simple. The folks that invest today are going to be the folks in 20 years that are going to be middle class. In this bad period, when it's a bad period, that's when you invest. If Nigeria is good, then prices are going to go high. You can't buy anything. If Nigeria is bad, everything is at a discount. The folks that, if you can't buy Lagos, go to Abia, go to Yobe and buy land. So you want to leapfrog, you want to go where your money can have value. If you can go to your village, if you say things are hard in Lagos, go back to your village and open up a school. There are many kids in your village that need education. You're already educated. Go and teach in your village and earn an income. Let them villagers pay you with yam. Take the yam and sell to the township. You've got to use your education to get ahead. I don't know all the answers, but the point I'm making is this. The folks that are going to see as middle class in 20 years' time, when we ask them what they did, they're going to say, wow, when things were bad, I had an idea to do pure water. So people used to buy water in a bottle, but I put my water in a nylon bag and I sold it for 1 kobo, and I'm a millionaire. It's those folks that discover a way to make money in a down market that are going to be the millionaires in 20 years' time. I don't know what they will do, but you and I will see them and they will say, yes, this is what we did. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Okay.
I also believe that is at the end of every Great Depression that emerges new.
Microsoft was started in a recession, I believe. Yeah. So I mean, So again, lots of questions. Ikechuku, let me take your question before we go back to the books. I don't even think we're going to have time. Ikechuku, go ahead. Let me hear your question. Great question. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Ikechuku, go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, how you doing, man?
Yep. Can you hear me, sir?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Wow. So it's I must say it's a very great opportunity. I don't know how often you do have this. I know a lot of people pay for what we are getting now for free. I don't know how often you can be doing this because I have a million questions to ask, but I'll just cut them down to a few.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, sir, I would say as a business person, I'm a salesman now. for a pharmaceutical company. So let's say you have money, you have there's a lot of turnover from the little you do, some kind of things, and then let's as a business person now in that guys, what guys for somebody that has, like say, if you put that money into what you are doing as a salesperson, it can give you more turnover and probably faster than you having, okay, let's say for instance, you have like 1 million in this time. Putting it in the money market, in all the different things you have, mutual fund and the rest of them, and then building over time with that, and then having that as what would I say, in the money market to generate money for you. What would you say in regards to what you talked about?
Yeah, I think I understand your question. So again, remember that when people get
can I finish it?
Please, okay, go ahead.
All right. So secondly, sir, what would you actually advise, sir? This is the second question. What would you advise in this time? Though you have actually answered that in the course of what you've talked about the last speaker, his question. No, investment in lands now as a person, side by side with fixed deposit, because when I was much younger, I used to have a fixed deposit account. Investment in lands and fixed deposit. And then lastly, sorry, I'm maxing, try to make it as this be the last. Now, lastly, with somebody with a basic salary of, let's say, 200,000 now, there are sometimes you can have other little gigs from other things that just come, or those things within that same business I do, some other side things that come in. What do you think about building? And is it a good idea now?
Okay, so number one, whatever you do, if you go back to when we started off with the chart, that chart that has passive income, active income, you must do that even if you work for yourself, even if you work for someone, because your income is not your asset. You are not rich because you make money, you have income. You are rich because you have assets more than liabilities. So when you have, let's say you have a shop in Onitsha, you bring in 1 million naira revenue. That 1 million naira revenue is not your wealth, it's turnover. Your job, what I'm saying, is to take that turnover and convert to passive income. Which means you take 10% of that turnover, you buy land, you buy stocks, you buy fixed income, you buy property, whatever you want to do. You want to convert that shop money to passive income because you can't be at the shop forever. Now, what are your expenses? Not your shop expenses or your own personal expenses. You have school fees, you have holiday in Germany, you have car, you have diesel. Those are, you have to categorize those expenses. Are they discretionary? Like, are they like a want, or are they non-discretionary as a need? You then take that income you are making, that you have turned to passive income. Your goal is that the passive income can pay your personal lifestyle, can support your personal lifestyle. Once your passive income, your rental, your dividends can support your personal lifestyle, you are rich. You can retire, you are rich. No, you're no longer depending on just one sort of income from your store. So that's what I'm saying. To answer your first question, yes, you must convert your income to assets. It's only when you have assets that you are rich. Income is not the same thing as wealth, number one. Number two, you're asking about, remind me, you said about property? Where I should buy property or?
Yes, sir. I'm talking about investment in lands. As again, talking about your fixed active income, investments in lands now, and aside the fixed deposit and all of that.
So you want to ask yourself, like I said, when you do your assets, you divide your assets into two: income generating, non-income generating. Land is not going to pay you any income. Fixed deposit will pay you income, but fixed deposit does not grow as fast as inflation. Land may grow as fast as inflation. So buy two of them. Buy two of them. If you can afford it, buy. Why are you buying one? Buy the land, do the fixed deposit. Fixed deposit is just to pack money. It's not someone you're not going to say you want to invest in fixed income for the rest of your life. You are parking money in fixed deposit to buy an asset that generates income for you. Land is not going to give you any income, but it's an asset. We want you to invest in assets that give you income, passive income. That's what we want. You can buy land, that's fine. It's an asset. It doesn't pay you income, that's fine. But we also want you to buy assets that give you income. So buy two of them. There's no difference in land or fixed income. But you want to ask yourself a question: do you need liquidity? If you need liquidity, then you want to do the fixed deposit than the land. So again, the first port of call is, what is your long-term objective? If your long-term objective is just 2 years, then do fixed deposit. But if you have 30 years to spend, please buy the land. So the answer to your question depends on what your own objective is. If you have to invest for 20 years, buy land. If you have to invest for 2-3 years, do fixed deposit. What's the last question again?
Okay, so the last question is, for someone like we are saying using 200,000 as basic salary now, what do you think about building now, and is it a good idea?
Of course, it's a good idea if you can build with 200,000, because you are removing one expense. You are removing perhaps the largest expense you have, which is your rental. So if you can convert your 200,000 into a house becomes either passive income or an expense reduction program. So it's a very, very good idea. If you live anywhere and you can afford to build your own home, please do it. Build for yourself, so that you know, okay, I'm not paying rent. I don't know about if you want to build for investment, that's a professional. You have to build according to location. But if you are building where you will live, you can't go wrong with that, because you're not going to pay rent. So on your chart, you've converted income to passive, or income to reduction in non-discretionary expense. That's what you get when you build your own house. So it's a very, very good idea if you can afford it. Thanks for that question. Yeah. Let me get Abdullah Dahiru Rabiu. We are not gonna. Hey, Abdullah, how you doing?
Good evening. Fine. Thank you very much for the topic. It came at a very time of need.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question with regards to myself.
Let's hear it.
I'm a businessman, and the kind of business I do is kind of an informal system. I'm a BDC guy, but the informal one. So making money from our own end is not a promise. At the end of the month, you can't see this is your projected income. It's something that comes. I don't know if you understand where I'm trying to come from.
So say it again, please.
I said I'm a BDC guy, but the parallel market, but not the info. I'm not actually licensed.
I hear you.
So our income is kind of
like this,
unpredicted,
up and down. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's unpredicted. So for me to say, with a capital of, let's say, 2-3 million naira, 200,000 naira profit at the end of the month, it's not a promise.
I see. I get where you're coming from.
So in this case, what would be your advice? Because I am in need of
okay.
How will I say it?
I'm like, what I think I get your question. It's a very, very great question. So what about folks that don't earn month by month? Sometimes they earn 1 million, then 10,000, then 100,000. It's irregular. Okay, I get your point.
Yes.
That's a great question. So what we need to do, I'd like to say, we can use two methods. We can use a percentage method, or we can do a salary method. Percentage method or salary method. Percentage means you adopt a percentage and say, anything I make, I am going to save 10% or 20% of it. So if I make 1 million, I save that. End of story. You get what I'm saying? So once I make 1%, I say, once I make 10,000, I do a percentage and I save into so I take that money, I take that savings, then I take it as my income. That's number one. Number two is to say I want to basically take all that money, right, and pay myself a salary, which means if I make 1 million, I pay myself 100,000 naira salary. The 1 million goes to, if just put in an account, I only take 100,000. Next month, I take 100,000. If I don't have any money, I don't pay myself a salary. So that I'm making that I'm only going to earn that salary. If it's for 4 months, so be it. But I have a salary. But the best applies to combine both of them. You can say, okay, I'm going to pay myself a salary of X amount, and it's going to be funded from 10% of my earnings. So every time you make money, anytime money touches your hand, you take that 10% or 20% and you pay to your fund. The rest goes back to your business. That's your salary. You plan with that salary. So that's the salary you're going to say is your active or passive. Then you then invest it. The other money is the money that you're going to keep in for your business. You get what I'm saying? In your business to grow your business. If you don't pay yourself a salary, you are not separated the business from yourself. Exactly. And then one day you're going to need to buy a house, and then you won't have that money to buy that house. So you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you need to separate that and then do it that way. I think that would help you, but that's what I recommend that you try to do.
Thank you very much. It's the right way to do, and I will definitely keep you posted on the progress.
I would like that. Let me know how it goes. If you have any difficulty, like I said, yeah, let me know how it goes, and then we can see what we can do. Yeah. All right.
Started January this year. By God's grace. Thank you very much.
We have not even gotten into the January, your financial plan. Let me again repeat, guys. What I want you guys to do for January, number one, please write it down. Number one, you want to track all your expenses. You want to track all your expenses. You want to track every single expense that you make. You want to track it. That's number one. Number two, you want to categorize your expenses. You want to categorize your expenses. So when you track your expenses, you then make them to category. If you spend money on engine oil, petrol, car wash, that's all car expenses. You can categorize them as car expenses. Number three, you want to allocate an amount, a naira amount to each category. So you track, you categorize, you allocate. That's a budget. So when you look at your budget, you then ask yourself, is this realistic? Don't forget you're doing your expenses and also your income. Same thing with your income. What sort of income are you going to make in 2025? Is it from your salary? Is it from your passive? Is it from your investment? We had a guy here that what we talked about, his point was his income was not enough. So your budget for this coming year is to grow your income. You want to grow that income by either getting 2 jobs or going to ask your company for a raise or investing more and getting more money through investment income. You've got to also budget for your income. So you budget your income, you budget your expenses, you track, you categorize, you allocate. Then you keep on adjusting. If they change something, you also adjust. That's why if they change something, you adjust, which means that if they change, fuel becomes more expensive, then you also adjust. Right? That's what I'm asking you to do. That's what you want to do this year. And we'll try to do as much as we can on that. Lots of questions. So yeah, Big E, what's in your mind? Big E, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Good evening, Mr. Kalu.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for the investments. In fact, impacting us with so much knowledge. Thank you so much. Now, this is my question. I have a couple of questions, but I'm trying to just see how I can streamline it. One of it is for where do you categorize donations or offerings or something in church, religious or something? Is it an expense? If it's an expense, where do you categorize it?
It's your call. It's your call. It's your call. Let me answer that real quick. It's your call. If you say giving tithes is in the Bible, but it's not in the book of finance. So if you say that giving tithes is a non-discretionary expense and that's what you believe in, then do it. So it's you decide what is discretionary and not discretionary. You will decide. If you say it is, then you do it that way. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. And secondly, for situations whereby before maybe a change in government, you actually felt you were earning so much because you were saving and doing an investment. But all of a sudden, after a change of government, you notice that what you are actually earning, how do you actually come out from that quagmire?
I'm not.
Whereby so much that you were earning before now, and now it's looking as if there's actually nothing.
Is it like because of inflation or what? Be specific.
Yes, because of inflation. Yes.
Yeah.
The money you earn was so much of value, and now it's no longer. And even the investments you did are actually nowhere.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing what we're doing today, because every plan, like there's a philosopher called Mike Tyson. Do you know Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson said everybody has a plan until they are punched in the mouth. So we all have plans. We will all want to invest, but then the government comes, like Fela said, government announces second tier, everything tear to pieces. So what you want to do is to have a budget or a plan so you can absorb uncertainty and react in a formal way. That's what we are doing today. So what I'm saying is this, right? If you had planned to invest and your investments are rubbish, what do you think happens on your budget? Your income has gone down. So you want to ask yourself, what expense items do I take off? Or what income items do I bring in to be able to balance that budget? Remember, you can have a deficit budget, which means you can borrow money. You can borrow money. But if you are borrowing money, let that money go to your non-discretionary or to your passive income. Because if you borrow money for a discretionary expense, you are digging a hole that you will not get out of. Again, borrow money that would create things that would create income for you. So if you are borrowing, you want to invest in an income generating asset, not to eat. Use your income to eat. If you are borrowing because you want to borrow and invest in an income generating asset that will generate income for you to pay off that loan. But to your question, sir, the reason why we're here is because every plan we have disappears. It goes up in flames. So we want to try at least to have a systematic way to manage risk, manage change, and to see what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong. Does that help a bit? I think I lost him. Victor I.
Thank you, Mr. Kalu.
Yeah, okay. Big, are you okay? Is that all you wanted to ask?
Yeah, you did. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, Big. Let me get Victor. Victor, what's your mind?
Yeah, thanks, Kalu. Thanks for all you do. My financial education has grown in large part to you, so never take what you do for granted.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
I'll keep it simple. You said something about emergency funds should be cash or near cash.
Yes, sir.
It's something that is close to me. So when you say we'll put in the amount, a certain amount 3 or 6 times for what you said in a savings account, will it suffice?
Yes. So when you do your, let's go back. When we had our 1 to 5 chart, we said your emergency fund is covering what you call your non-discretionary expenses. So so that's going to be your rent, your food, all that, right? So let me mute this guy. So what we're saying is that your emergency fund should cover 3 to 6 months of whatever is in that non-discretionary bucket. If that whole bucket comes to 1 million, then your emergency fund should be 3 to 6 million. And I'm saying you don't have to wait till you have 6 million, but at least have 1 million there before you start to invest. It's very, very important. If you can't have an emergency fund, you can't invest. I said it again, if you don't have an emergency fund, don't really jump to invest, because what will happen is that you're going to eat that emergency fund to cover expenses. It should be in cash or near cash, which means you don't take that fund and buy stocks. It's going to be cash or near cash. Yeah. Victor, does that help?
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, it does. I'm very grateful. Just one more question.
Yep.
Sir, what's your take on mortgages from the point of view of 2 points of view? Kind of based on Nigerian situation, we are not really exposed to debt over a long time. So many people are kind of debt averse because they can't really pay back.
Yeah.
And also from the point of view, is it
is it more of a liability than an asset? So I don't know what your take is, like, to someone who is green, if you would.
For property, right? Let's talk about Nigerian property. I don't think Nigeria has mortgages. There are loans to buy a house, but in Nigeria, that's not a mortgage. Mortgage is supposed to be long-term. You can do more things to mortgage than what Nigeria has. So let's just assume that we don't really have mortgages in Nigeria. But if you build a home, it's an investment. If you live in that home, then it's never going to be a waste of money, because what you are doing is that you are reducing your expenses on rent. So what you have done is you've taken your income, your active income, and you have converted it to passive income by building your house, because you are living in that house, right? So it's always going to be a positive investment if you live in that house. Where it becomes complicated is if you're building a house to rent out for somebody. Rental yields are very, very low. If you what is yield? Yield is what you get divided by what you spent. So if I build a house in Lekki, I buy the land for 100 million. I build the house for 50 million. So my total cost is 150 million. And I get from the rental of that guy 10 million. What is 10 divided by 150 million? Who can do that? 10. What's 10 divided by 150 million? Victor, divide it, please. 10 divided by 150 million. What's that? Which sharp guy will tell us? Victor, what's the answer? Victor. So, yeah, 15 what? No,
that's 15 years.
No, 10 rental, annual income, annual rental, 10 divided by 150 million is what? 10 million.
No, that's for 15. That is for 15 years.
No.
You are taking the rental.
No. I'm saying for 1 year, you make income for 1 year. The rental for 1 year is 10 million. Divide that 10 by the cost of the house, 150. What do you get? What's the answer?
0.6.
So 0.6. Are you sure? 10 divided by 150 million? Let me do myself.
0.06.
Okay, so multiply 0.06 times 100. What do you get? What do you get?
It's correct, 6.6.
So that's the rental income. That's the rental yield for that year. It's very, very low. So the point I make is that when you invest to build a house, you are getting very, very low rental yield. The property will appreciate in price. The property will become 2 billion. But the rental yield is very, very small. If you put that money into a bank or whatever, you make more money. You get what I'm saying? You see what I'm going to with that? You make more money than so if you live in the house yourself, right, you make more money. But if you are simply what's the word, trying to invest in property, I'm saying be very careful. That's the point I'm making, because you might think you have an asset, but it's really a liability, because you're not making you invested 150 million naira and you're earning 6%. If you put that same money in the bank, you earn 30%. So be careful to do that calculation. And there's a relator here. Do that calculation properly to know exactly what you're earning before you invest. But if you're going to live in the house, all thumbs up for you. Right?
Yeah, thank you, sir. God bless.
Perfect. Ikoyi Realtors, what's on your mind, sir? How are you doing? Ikoyi Realtors.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Kalu. Good evening. How do you do, sir?
I'm doing very well.
You're doing a very good job.
Yeah, what's your mind?
Thanks for this. So my question is, I think the last speaker answered one of my questions, because I'm a property broker. Our income is not steady. It's fluctuates. It comes intermittently. It's hard for you to put maybe like 5 million together at a time.
Yeah.
But you can get it. You can get more than 5 million over a period of maybe like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, things like that. So for me, what I do is that I stay in a suburb of Lagos. I actually stay in Ikorodu. Ikorodu has the standard of living, and the cost of living is low. You have good standard of living there, but the cost is low, so which enable me to put my funds into other investment, mostly properties. So when I get this, so immediately the issue of my emergency funds,
the moment I remove my feeding, my rental, the fees for my children and things like that, I don't really have much savings like that. I hardly have savings of like maybe 100K or 150K per time. So what I do mostly is that the moment I get my proceeds from my business, I put it into the properties. But just exactly what you said earlier, that the yield for rent is very, very low, because my first project cost me close to like 18 million, and I'm getting the proceed for rent there is like maybe like 750,000 per annum. But and you still have to consider the cost of maintaining, repainting the property like once in 2 or 3 years, with small things and things like that. So basically, what I'm just saying in essence is that for properties, it's capital intensive to invest. So the second project cost me close to like 35 million, and I'm not sure I will get more than 1.5 or 1.6 million for rent. So what I want to ask is that for properties capital intensive, is there any other investment I can put my mind to that can give me better proceed?
No, we're not there yet. We're not going to talk about where you should invest it. I want to talk about just the process, the structure. Next Sunday, Olumide is here. Next Sunday, we'll talk about where you can invest. If you want to do passive income, okay, where should you do that passive income? I get your question is fine. But for now, we're trying to talk to people to say we are in December 2024. How should you approach 2025? And I'm saying the first thing you want to do a review of your 2024. That's what I've shared. If you look at it on Twitter, I've shared what questions you should ask yourself for your income, your assets, and your net worth. If you follow, I also ask a question there on your retirements. So we want to do that first. Then once we get through that, we'll then come back and say, okay, if we have to invest in 2025, what sectors, how should we do an asset allocation to then invest? But the first thing I want people to do, and I'm repeating again, the first thing I want you to do, number one, list out your expenses. Number two, categorize. And number three, allocate a naira amount to each envelope and say, this is how much I'm going to spend. And then you want to track that down the line, right? If we go to number four, I'm talking about your retirement plan. Why am I bringing a retirement plan as the first plan? Your most important financial objective is your retirement. It's not to build a house. It's not to invest. It's your retirement. Why? Because your retirement is time-bound. You only have a certain amount of periods you can compound. Let me explain. Albert Einstein said, compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. Compounding works with time. Compounding works with time. I'm going to share some from my book as well. If you miss out on compounding, you've missed out on timing. So if you wait and say, I'm going to invest tomorrow, you've lost one extra day of compounding. What this means is that you must start to invest early. And in Nigeria, the best place to invest is in your retirement savings account. Why? It grows tax-free, it compounds. It grows tax-free, it compounds. Yes, so you want to basically start to make sure that you are investing according to PFA. So you want to do that. And I'm sharing a diagram again from my book, guys. Let me just, again, I'm sharing on, I will try to share it on Twitter as well. Guys, don't sleep on an early investment. I'm going to share this again from on YouTube. It's on YouTube. I'm going to share it on Twitter. Starting early is the most underrated investment advice. Start to save for retirement today. Don't wait, because it compounds. So if you go on Twitter, I've shared on that diagram from my book. It talks about starting early. You will see it there.
Okay.
And I'm going to explain that chart in just a few. Let's see. Fine. Can you mute? I think your mic has some back noise on it. Okay, so
it's really
all right. So guys, I've made that chart, and if you look at that chart, let me just explain that chart to you guys real quick, right? If you have two brothers, you've got two brothers, right? And one brother is aged, one brother, same age, they're both the same age. But look at brother A, look at brother B. So brother A only started from the age 21. He only invested for 10 years. Only for 10 years. So he invested from 2000 to year 2010. He only invested 2000 for 10 years. That's all he did. Till he was 50, he never invested again. He only invested for 10 years. Look at his brother. His brother invested double the years. Brother B invested for 20 years. But he started at the age 31. But he invested for 20 years. Who made more money? The chart is right there. Brother A made more money. Why? Because he invested earlier. So the point is this: if you invest earlier than a millionaire, you will make more money, i.e., return, than the millionaire. It's not how much cash the millionaire gets, but your rate of return is going to be more than the millionaire, because when we calculate interest, we use compounding, and compounding is a function of time. So if you look at brother A and brother B brother A started at the age 21. He only invested for 10 years. He didn't invest again. His brother invested from the age 31, so he lost 10 years, and he invested double the amount that his brother did, but he still couldn't catch his brother. The guy that starts to invest early will make more money than the guy that invests later. So that's your learning point. Many of you say, I'm not earning money, I don't want to invest in my PFA. You are making a big mistake. If you don't compound early, you will lose money, literally. William, what's on your mind? Mr. William, what's on your mind, sir? Go ahead.
Yes, Brother Kalu, thank you for the good this thing that you do here, man. I'm actually having a personal question, right, on investment, the same this thing too. I have a rental property, about 12 units I'm currently doing in Port Harcourt. But be there as the case may be, I'm almost at the finishing touches of this building. But I live here in Europe, and the last few months, due to what is currently going on, the inflation in Nigeria, I'm kind of considering, should I take out a loan and finish up this property here, or should I just, I don't know, I'm contemplating, but I looked at this building, I'm almost done. I'm just at the finishing touch, so I can put tenants in there. But when I looked at what this property is going to generate for me, me trying to get myself caught up with the loan here, with the interest rate, I'm really wondering, is it a good bet? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Like I said,
broadly, right? Broadly, if I had to advise you, loans in Nigeria are very, very expensive. So the rate of return on rental income compared to the interest you pay on the loan, you would pay more money on the loan than on rental income. What I would advise you to do is to say, get tenants, rent the place out, and get tenants that say, if you want to rent this building, pay me 5 years in advance, and I'll lock your rent at this price. So, for instance, if you come to me and you tell me I can pay 5 years rent today for that house, and the next 5 years you will not increase my rent, I'll pay. And you use the money from the tenants and you complete the building. So you have your home, and you're not taking any bank loan. You do tenant financing, do off-taker financing. Let the tenant, I don't know how many flats it is. I don't know. I'm just giving you a general idea. I'm not sure how many flats you have, but see if you can get tenants that will pay you in advance. Use the money and build the house. Yes, you forgo your income for 5 years, but you have the house. After 5 years, you can still get the rent. But if you wait and keep waiting to get money to complete the house, I'm not sure where the house is to even start with. But I think it'll be it'll be more, should we say, prudent than borrowing. What if you borrow and you don't get tenants and you're owing the banks, and then the banks own part of your house? So I would consider tenant financing for now. Yeah. Does that work? All right, William.
Thanks. But like I said, I don't live in Nigeria. I live in Germany. So I was thinking,
so who's going to look after that? You are thinking what?
I was thinking, well, is it a good idea if I just take out a little loan here and just?
I just answered it. I said the loan rates in Nigeria are higher than the rental income. So if you borrow to complete the house, the tenancy income will not pay back the loan. So I'm saying I prefer you go to your tenants, get a real estate company and say, rent the house out or put the advert and say you want tenants that will come and pay today for 4 or 5 years. And they can move, and then when you use the money to build the house, the tenants move in. So you complete the property is yours. You use tenants financing at 0% to build a house. It's yours. After 5 years, you can start taking the rent. I don't think you take. I've not seen the property. If you give me numbers and I see the property, I can give you more advice. But generally, this is what I think you should do. Generally, William.
All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Man.
You're very welcome. Yeah, Femi Oshin, what's up, man? Femi, what's happening?
Good evening, Mr. Kalu.
How you doing, Femi?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
I'm very well.
Good.
Thank you. Yes, so this is more of a personal question.
Yep.
My dad sold one of his property at Apapa, and my dad is not literate. Is not to even talk of being financially literate. So the plan was to sell the property and get something, a block of flats somewhere around Ogudu or Jota, that's Oroshoki environment. But we could not find. This was sometime around June. And so with the little bit of financial, exposure I have, so he just kept the money in the bank. So I was just able to advise him to fix the money in one of these commercial banks, and they fixed the money for 14%, for a year, and the money would be ready by January. So by January, we'd go again in search of properties, and if we cannot find, and I'm also thinking we should do a better investment instead of the 14%. So my question is, you mentioned 30% like twice in this meeting. So I was wondering where the 30, is it bond? Are you referring to bonds or it's something else?
Yeah, how much do you have? How much is the money?
So the money is around 80 million.
80.
Yes.
Yeah, you could have bought federal government treasury bill certificates or bonds for 50 million and nearly 30%. I mean, I publish it this gentleman shares it with me, and I publish it. The gentleman that works in not Future View. I mean, I can send it to you. It's treasury bills or treasury certificates for 1 year would give you that amount: 29%, 28%, 30%. Every 2 weeks or so, they do the auctions. I publish it. You haven't seen it. It's always on my timeline. It's from my good friend, Dr. Ibo.
I do see it, but I just don't understand it. I'm not.
Yeah. So what you want to do is keep your money in the bank. Keep that amount of money in the bank at 14%. You're losing money because inflation is 30%. So you're losing money. I would go Monday morning to go talk to a banker or a stockbroker and say, I want to invest in a Nigerian treasury bill or something like that. It will give you much more. It's the safest investment in Nigeria, and it will pay you much more than what you're getting. So I would do that on Monday morning to go talk to a broker or banker and say, write it down, commercial paper, A-rated commercial paper or federal government treasury bill. Ask them for the year. When you buy the certificate, if you're not buying it from the primary market, ask them for the yield to maturity. Write it down, yield to maturity. So if you go to the bank, and they say, oh, we don't have new treasury bills or we don't have new bonds, but we have some that someone wants to sell. Ignore the interest rate that you see on the face. If it's a 10-year interest rate, that's nonsense. Ask them for the yield to maturity of what they're selling to you, or them to buy you from primary market, right? Or just put it in a commercial paper that's going to tell them what the interest you need. If you have that kind of money, they will give you a good return. If they don't answer you, send me a DM. That money is a lot, so you'll be able to get a good deal. All right, super. All right, guys. Red, how are you doing, Red? Thank you, Femi. Red, you've got the floor. Go ahead. RED? Red is not ready. Let's get.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, I'm here.
Hold up, Umi. Red, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
How you doing?
Okay. I'm fine. So my question goes like this. Now I work with a real estate company, just like Mr. The Ikoyi realtor said. Our income doesn't come that like steady. It just comes once in a while and it leaves. I'm thinking because I have some money in the bank and I'm like considering, because some people are telling me like I should buy coins or I should buy land. Do you think buying lands now is much better than buying some crypto assets?
Both of those things are totally different. So, Red, where do I start from? When you want to invest, the first question, mute, can you mute? Mute. So when you want to invest, the very, very first question you want to ask yourself is, why are you investing? So if you have money in the bank and you want to invest, you don't invest because of what's in front of you. You invest to match your objective. It's like you asking me, should you buy a Honda Coupe or should you buy a 911 trailer? The answer is, what do you want to do with the car? If you want to pack cement to Kano, buy the 911 truck. If you want to just go to work just yourself, buy the Honda. So let me ask you a question. This why are you investing? Is it for short term? Is it for your long term? Why are you investing?
It's mostly for a long term.
How long is long term for you?
Well, I believe 10 years is a long time.
Okay, so if you're not going to touch the money for 10 years, I like property.
Okay.
But if you're going to use the money tomorrow or next week, you don't buy property because it's not liquid. Property is not liquid. So if you put your money in and you buy land, it's not liquid. So don't do that. Same thing with the coins. I don't know what coins you are buying, but coins are very, very risky. Even if it's Bitcoin, it's very, very risky. So you want to build a pyramid, and your coins or your crypto are at the top of the pyramid. So that's your like 5%, 10% of your portfolio. But the base of your pyramid should be solid investments, property, blue chip stocks, that kind of thing. Then at the very, very top, you put your crypto. So that's not an investment for long term. I would say build a portfolio. I don't know how old you are, but if you want to buy land, good. Buy land from a good source with good paperwork. That keeps it kind of like legit for you. If it's for 20 years, fantastic. Fence it when you have money. Build a BQ there so you can take possession of it. And then you wait for when you have money to build it. That's what I prefer because you said 20 years. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Let me get Wami. Wami, somebody was trying to speak. Honor, I'll come to you very soon. Let's get Wami. Wami, go ahead. Wami, go ahead. Yeah.
My question is based on debt. Right. So let me explain. Right. So I have a dollar fund, and so it's just my investment account where I keep most of my dollars I'm not making use of at the moment. So I had to withdraw from that account to buy a solar inverter. Right. So I bought quite expensive. So I withdraw quite a lot. Right. So on my account, I have an Excel sheet where I just record my financial statements for a particular period of time. So in my in debt section, I have the place where I have to write a minus. That is the money I actually borrowed from my dollar account. Now the issue is the payments, right? I want to repay back debt. So I have Naira that came in, right? So I wanted to convert the Naira to dollar, but I was looking at the exchange rate. I'm seeing that the dollar rate is coming down. So I don't want to buy a very expensive dollar and like the rate of dollar comes down, right? So I'm just thinking of the ways to pay back. So that is option one, to just buy dollar, whatever rate it is, and then just put back into my investment account. Or I can just keep the Naira equivalent in the mutual fund with hope that the dollar will likely come down to a very cheap level, and the interest from the mutual fund will be enough to like offset the whole cost. So that's where I'm kind of like confused on. So I don't know. Should I just convert my Naira to dollar to repay back the debt I took, or I should just keep the Naira equivalent?
Yeah, I think you're mixing up a lot of things there. So if you have income, and I see you saying you took money from your investment, that's your asset, right? To buy, so you took income to buy an asset, they want to pay it back. Don't link them all together. So that transaction you did, first of all, is gone. You've withdrawn money from your the money you took it from. What do you call that account you took it from? Was it your long-term savings? What do you call that place you took it from? Was it a bank account? What was it?
Okay, it's just a dollar fund which I keep. It's more like my, would I call it emergency fund? Though I have no use for it as of the moment.
So if it's not an investment account per se, it's a place where you park money to for emergencies.
Yeah, but it gives me dividends every quarter.
I hear you. I hear, but the objective of that account is not to invest. It's to more or less you are parking money there for expenses. That's what I'm hearing you.
Yeah, sort of.
So what's the issue? Just go ahead and put the money back. Because if you had your retirement account or an investment account that is for you to compound for longer periods, I would say, okay, yeah, you've taken money from you borrowed from your retirement fund, you can put it back in. But in this case, I hear you say you just had money in your emergency fund, which you used to buy an asset in barter, right? Now I want to put it back. Just put it back in. Just put it back in.
Yeah, but remember, this money is not denominated in naira. It's actually US dollar.
It makes no difference. So it's a fresh contribution because you've taken out money. You took out money from the income and spent. Just put back money in. That's why I asked you, what name do you call it? Because if you had it in an investment account, then we'll say, okay, first in, out, first in, all that kind of stuff. But it's just an in and out account. It's just where you park money. It doesn't matter the rate you are buying. Remember, the emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So if that fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses, you accumulate it there. That money is not, you're not tying that money to your retirement or to any other thing, if I heard you correctly. It's where you are parking money that you get in dollars just to keep it away from inflation. So just replenish it.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks. Honor. Valentine Honor, how you doing?
Good day, Carlo. Good day, everyone.
How you doing?
I'm Valentine by name. I am a relationship manager in Zenith Bank, and I help customers to process their loans and the rest of it. But currently, the lending rates, it's so high now. It's around 35%, of which is not actually encouraging for businesses. This is not a good time to borrow. So, but I want to ask a question. Because definitely borrowing is a nice thing, like you said, if you want to invest and not to consume. So what are the good things or what are the best investments that could be done using borrowing funds, looking at this current lending rate issued by the CBN?
Yeah, the answer is simple. It's any investment that pays you 40%. That's a good investment.
Okay then. All right. I would love to be present in the next space with you and Olumide to see how these things can be thought out. Thank you very much.
So which investment do you think pays 40% in Nigeria today?
I actually cannot think out that. It's actually a very high interest.
There is none. There is none. That's the point for me. There is none. So what you want to try to do is to build a portfolio that it's going to grow. So when you buy an asset today, you want to buy an asset that you think over time will compensate you for the lost income today, but in 10 years' time will then start to pay you a dividend. Look at it this way. The life of that asset is going to be maybe 30 years. If you take your cash flow today, you'll be negative. And that asset will give you negative returns for 10 years. But once the asset becomes positive, it's now going to give you positive returns for, let's say, next 15 years. So if you look at it as if you stretch out the cash line of that asset, that's what I'm asking you to look at. It's the same way if you build a property, you take a loan for at 20% and you build 5 buildings. For the first 5 years, you are paying back the bank or so. You're not making any cash flow to yourself. But once the cash flow to yourself starts to come, it's pure cash to yourself. Nobody will argue and say, I do not want to invest because I'm not going to earn interest for the next 5 years. Nobody's going to argue that. You get the point I'm making. Everyone's going to say, I want to buy that property because in the next 10 years, I am able to make a return that is better than what I have today. Do you get the point where I'm going to with this?
Yes, I do.
You've got to have a long-term mindset so that you say, I'm losing money today because of inflation. But what if inflation or if the asset value rises tomorrow, am I going to be better off? If you wait for perfect seas, you're never going to the sea to sail the boat. That's where I'm actually going to with this. All right. Honor, thanks so much. Jerry, what's on your mind? Jerry, hit me up.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I just joined, so I hope my question will not be entirely off, but I have a question around retirement savings investment and some stocks about Nigeria. So before now, I used to work for a Nigerian company, but I no longer do. I've traveled for a while now. So, but during my last time there with my last employer, they were actually making that payment for retirement savings. I could get the alert and it was coming in frequently compared to some other persons I've worked before. So my question is, now that I no longer work for Nigerian companies, is there anything I can do with that, maybe to keep it alive? What's like the best approach to take? Is it really worth paying attention to? Yeah, that is one. Another one is before I traveled, I bought some shares, MTN shares. The last time I checked, it wasn't doing fine. What is the best advice when it comes to that? Should I just set it off and maybe not buy more? Is this a good time to kind of continue buying shares like that of telcos and that are still in Nigeria? Yeah, those are the two questions. Thank you.
So for the first one, your RSA, yes, you should keep it. You can actually make more contributions. It's called additional voluntary contribution. You can make a contribution to your RSA. You try to contact them. All they need from you is going to be a schedule to say, I want to. So call your PFA guy, call them up and say, I have this PFA. I want to make additional voluntary contributions to it. How can I go about it? That's what you can do.
Okay, thank you.
If you are no longer working, you can actually. If you are not working, you can actually what's it called? You can actually request for some proceeds from that account. But because I think you might be working, you might not be able to get those funds. If you want to keep it, you can and still make voluntary contributions to it. So it's possible. So let's go to your second question. Again, why did you buy the stocks that you mentioned? Why did you buy it? What was the objective of buying that stock?
Yeah, the goal was to continue buying more for long term. But yeah.
Have you received dividends and bonus from that stock? Have you got any dividends from that stock?
Yeah, I got dividends actually after the first year.
Okay, what did you do with it?
It never came again.
What did you do with the dividends when you got it?
And they invested it, I think.
Okay, what I'm asking is this: MTN pays a lot of. They pay some good dividends. If you plot your average cost, let's say you bought at 100 naira. If you reinvested your dividends, your cost of purchase is going to fall. So if it's something you don't need, you don't need the returns, the dividends from MTN, reinvest the dividends, reinvest it. Just go back to your registrar. I think they are called Coronation. Coronation will add it, registers to MTN. Go back to them, confirm where your dividends are, get a check for your dividends and buy more. If you buy more, what you're doing is you are averaging down your cost price of MTN. I heard you say it's not doing well. So if it's not doing well, if you want to keep it, buy more and average your cost down. If you think it's not doing well and want to sell it, go ahead and sell. But the answer really has to do with your objective, why that you actually bought that stock in the first place. If you want to hold it for long term, I would say reinvest your dividends, average down the cost. So if you average down the cost, it's no longer at the price you bought it at, but at the new average cost that you have because you've reinvested your dividends. Do you understand what I mean, Jerry?
Yes, but when you talk about the reduction in cost, is it the cost of the one I already bought or subsequent one that I will buy?
The cost you already bought. If you bought the share at 100 naira and you get dividends of 10 naira, you then use that 10 naira to buy new stock. It's almost free because that 10 naira came from your 100 naira. So your cost price, you now have more quantity with the same 100 naira. You see what I'm saying? You used 100 naira to buy 100 stock. Then the 100 stock gave you 10 naira. When you take that 10 and you buy more stock, it's from the same 100 stock that you got initially that you bought the new stock. So your average cost keeps on falling to go from 100 naira to 90 to 50. So when you then compare with the market price, you're not comparing at 100. You're going to compare at the reduced price because you have reinvested your principal. You see where I'm going to with this? So that way, if you did this analysis again, you might be surprised that you've actually made more money because you've been reinvesting your dividends. So for you guys abroad and you're in Naira, probably you're not really interested because it's in Naira. Why don't you think about just reinvesting in dividends and just leaving it alone? That might be a good option for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, good. Let's get Ugochukwu.
Hello, Kalu. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi, go ahead.
Okay. So my name is Ugochukwu. So I have a question. My question goes like this. First of all, I'd like to talk about like my business, and it goes with the question. So
no, go straight to the question if you don't mind.
Okay. So the question is like, we're currently like facing, let me say, a little issue. So the business we run, like we're paying like 50% because we couldn't get like own space. So we're paying 50% of our revenue every like cohort we run. And it's kind of not making us grow. So now my question goes like, should we take a loan to like get our own space? I don't know if the question is clear, but yes.
That's a great question. Let me talk about rent and startups. Let me ask you a question. Just see if you can answer. I read a report one that said property. No, they said startups in Abuja die after 2 years. Do you know why?
Okay. No.
2 years is when their rent expires.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make is this, right? If you're a startup, you shouldn't be borrowing money to pay for rent. You shouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I get that, but actually, like currently, the revenue we're making can cover the rent. Okay. But the issue is because like we are paying 50%, we're currently using like an event hall kind of thing, but we have like our own space there. But the thing is that because we're paying 50% per each student we generate, like we've generated for the last 7 months, we've generated 3 million. But because we're paying 50%, we've given the events all over 1.something million, and it's not making us grow. So at the end of every and we handle operation, we handle marketing, every other thing.
It's a very, very simple thing. Your income can pay your current rent. You want to borrow money to go to do what?
Like, it's not a rented property. It's kind of like an agreement kind of thing. So we're paying 50% of whatever we generate. So now we want to have our own space. So that 50%, we can use it to invest in other things like getting more tutors and also like getting more students.
Can your 50% cover the rent of the new place?
Yes, more than.
So what's the question?
Yes.
So what's the question then?
The question is, should we take a loan to get our own space?
No, why are you saying loan? You said 50. So let me ask you again. Can your 50% cover your rent in a new place?
No, we have not gotten a new place. We're in an event center. You understand? So whatever we earn, we're paying 50%.
It's a simple question, Ugochukwu.
I don't know if you understand.
The 50% you earn right now, can it cover your rent in the new and the old place?
Yes, it can. But so because we're running like other costs like marketing, operations,
that's what I asked you.
Like
that's not what I asked you. I asked you a simple question. The 50% you earn, your income you earn right now, can it afford you to get a new place from your income? Can your organic income cover rent? Your organic income, can it cover rent?
Yes, yes.
So what's the question?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure you understand what I'm saying though, but like the question is the current, okay, let me say the current cash we have now can't cover rent. You understand?
What's cash? What's cash? Is cash income or netting? What's cash?
Like the balance. Let me say balance. The balance.
That's net profit.
It's like in the bank, the balance we have in the bank.
No, not in the bank. So Ugochukwu, I'm asking you specific questions, but you answered and you go back. So let me ask you very specific, right? You make sales, right? You make sales.
Yes.
Then you pay expenses.
Yes.
You pay expenses.
Yes.
Then you have net income, right?
Yes.
Are you paying rent currently?
Yes, so we're paying 50% of our revenue as rent.
Okay, so see what I'm asking you. Can your revenues currently, if you go to a new place, can you pay for the rent of the new place from your revenues?
Yes.
So what's the question? If you can pay, then go.
Okay. I think that's the answer. Thank you.
Don't borrow money to pay for your new place. Don't borrow money to pay for rent. Pay for rent from your organic income. If you cannot afford the rent from your organic income, then the business cannot afford that new place you're looking at. Don't borrow money to do that. No. But if you've said that, yes, your organic income can pay for rent, then do it. But don't borrow. Don't leave where you are paying a royalty to rent the space, to borrow money to go and rent a place that are you buying it or are you renting it? Just to rent? No. So
Renting, yes.
please don't borrow money to that. Stay where you are, or use your organic income and cover the rent, please. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Hey guys, just to recap, right? We're talking about financial health check. I've talked about the schedule, how your objective in this schedule is to move your active income to your passive income. So income is not wealth. Income has got to be converted to income for you to income has got to be converted to an asset for you to be wealthy. So we're saying move your active income, which is your salary, to a passive income, which is what income you make when you're not working. That's number one thing. Then we're saying number two, make sure your passive income, the money from rent, from your share in the business, things that you earn when you're not there, can cover your non-discretionary expenses. I've shared both diagrams that explains what passive active is and what non-discretionary income is. So that's what we want to talk about today. Then we'll talk about your budget. On your budget for 2025, list out your expenses. You can pick the months of October, November, even September. List out your expenses. Go to your bank account, pull up your statement, list your expenses, categorize your expenses, and then allocate a budget for your expenses for 2025. So we'll talk about your budgeting, and we'll talk about how you want to review your past years. Your objective is to convert active to passive over a long period of time. Jesse, what's on your mind? Jesse, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be able to share. So my question is, I'm a part-time student and I have the opportunity to work at an organization where I earn about 100,000 a year. So last year I was able to save 300,000 naira in money market. I bought treasury bill about 100,000 with 21% interest rate, and I logged in about 100,000. For next year, I'm looking to go ahead to earn some certification, and certification in finance, and it costs about 700,000 naira. So I just want to ask, what do you think I should do about that?
What's the name of the certification? What's the name of the certification?
So we have a scholarship for CFA. So we're converting it to dollar for $400. Like,
yeah, that's a better investment. Your CFA is an investment. So if you can get the CFA, it's going to boost your active income. So it's like you're investing in yourself. So if you got that chance, yeah, I would take it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I'm not about your academics. I'm just saying, if you think you can do CFA and pass, that's a good investment that you can take. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, sir. I will try, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Good luck with the exam.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Why don't get Julian? Julian, what's your mind, Julian?
Hello, Kalu. Good evening. Am I being heard?
Yes, sir. You are.
All right. Thank you very much. Just say I've followed you for a long time. I never knew this was going on, but I just stumbled upon this, and I'm so glad I came.
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, I just got exposed to a official stockbroker earlier on this year, because I've been trying to figure out how to get involved with the capital market in Nigeria. So I got involved in one, and my question is twofold. First of all, he's been sending me, or they have been sending me, commercial papers, give me 30%, 29%, 112% in dollars, and I want to just, and I've seen A ratings, A plus ratings on these commercial papers. I want to just ask how safe are these, and historically, are they good part-time or short-term investments? That's my first question. And my second one is, it's kind of like similar to that. Can someone go from one stockbroker, have multiple stockbrokers at the same time, or do I have to stick with one? And I think the last question is, how can I best understand how to invest in the stock market locally and internationally? What would be the best place to get the best information to make me make informed decisions for my investments going forward? Thank you.
Yeah, so the second question is easier, so I'll grab that one. Yes, you can have multiple stockbroking accounts, but I advise you have one CSCS. So, like, look at it this way: you can buy the shares through many brokers, but have one CSCS. You can write that down. That's where your shares are going to be deposited. So if you buy from broker A, have your CSCS with them. If you use broker B, then go have your CSCS with, tell broker B to send the shares to your CSCS, right? You get what I mean? So you have one CSCS, but you can have many stockbrokers. That's not a problem with that. Number two, the first one you talked about, they're sending you commercial papers and they are A-rated. So CPs are usually, what is commercial paper is that the company itself is borrowing, is borrowing. You are lending money to the company itself, not the bank. When you go to a bank and you give the bank money to invest in the bank, that's called a fixed deposit. So the bank is liable. The bank is saying, we are taking that money from you and we're going to promise to give you a return. And the bank is insured by NDIC, right? So when you give the bank money up to 5 million, it's insured by NDIC and the bank is liable. When a bank sells you a commercial paper from, say, MTN, it is MTN you are lending money to, not the bank. So because MTN is riskier than the bank, MTN pays you a higher rate of return. So if you can stomach the extra risk, commercial papers are a good way for you to earn a guaranteed rate of return if you can stomach the added risk. So that's the answer right there for you on commercial papers. I like them if they are A-rated and all that. They are good companies. That means MTN, so you can say, wow, it's MTN, the blue chip stock, second highest cap stock in Nigeria. They won't go down. That's going to be your consideration. So perhaps you can do that, right? To your last question about how you can learn more, I mean, the internet is filled with free resources. If you go to YouTube and you just type "teach me about stocks," you'll see tons of videos there on YouTube that will teach you about stocks. So do that. Go online, YouTube, Instagram, follow lots of channels. Go on Bloomberg, watch Bloomberg on your TV. You start to pick up the language and the intent of what they are saying, and then become an expert. Just like how you watch football, Just if you have an interest in football, you know what offside is, what own goal is. The same thing with investment. You have to basically pick on it and stay on there, and then you can basically learn what they are saying and what those things mean to you. That's essentially it. There's no magic to it.
Thank you very much. I got that.
Perfect. Hey, you're welcome, my brother. Thank you so much. Let's get who hasn't spoken. I've got Daniel. Daniel Lee, have you spoken? Daniel, please go ahead. Daniel, go ahead. Or Kachi. Let's get Kachi.
Oh, thank you, Kalu.
How you doing?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Kalu. I just stumbled upon this space and I'm really enjoying the whole thing. But I want to ask what you think about Satoshis being the smallest unit of Bitcoin. 100 million Satoshis make one Bitcoin.
You are just speaking
and
English.
We know that.
Yeah, speaking English. What's Satoshi? You are just speaking English. Yeah.
Satoshis is the smallest unit of Bitcoin.
It doesn't mean anything. It means nothing.
I want to ask what you think about investing in BTC in general, because we know we can see the future of Bitcoin. I'm a Forex marketer. I trade Forex and I can see the future of Bitcoin and how the market is going.
I hear you.
So, and there's a future where one Satoshi will equal to $1 someday. And let's say a Nigerian has billions of these Satoshis, and the way the world leaders are stacking up BTC now, we can see the future of it. So what do you think about Bitcoin and Satoshis?
Yeah,
cryptocurrency?
I don't know what Satoshi is, but what I tell you is this: Bitcoin now seems to have more utility because of the U.S. president wants to invest in it. The U.S. president, that's Donald Trump, the U.S. president-elect, Donald Trump made a lot of promises to the market that if he gets elected, he will support them. His SEC chairman, the Securities and Exchange chairman, is pro Bitcoin. They are talking about Bitcoin reserve. There are a few guys in the Senate that also want to do a Bitcoin reserve. I think it's the state of Florida. I think some other states are doing Bitcoin reserves. Alberta is doing Bitcoin reserves. So there seems to be the government seems to like Bitcoin, which means demand is up. So because demand is up, prices could go up. I don't yet see. I saw what's called MicroStrategy guy talk about how
Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor. I also saw a guy, and I forget his name. He was talking about how they were using Bitcoin as collateral for property lending, which I found was very, very interesting. In that they were using when you come and borrow, you want to build a home, apartment complex with them, they make you buy Bitcoin, and then the Bitcoin acts as security for the loan they've given to you, so that if you can't pay back, they're able to then take this to Bitcoin as collateral. That was very, very interesting. Why it was interesting was because it brings in utility. Because before now, Bitcoin was only going up because of the greater fool theory, which means if I buy it today, I can sell to someone else tomorrow. That's greater fool theory. But now I think we are seeing utility come into the play. I mean, if that guy's idea catches on, that if you want to buy a house, the bank will tell you to also buy Bitcoin. So when you buy Bitcoin with your collateral, if the property you buy, you can no longer service the collateral, then the bank will take your Bitcoin and sell. So it looks like a bit of utilities coming in the space, but generally, lots of governments seem to be open to the idea.
How can Nigerians tap into that wealth?
If you think that you have some money, you can invest 5-10% of your portfolio in it. If you can stomach the risk, that's how you can invest in it. All right. All right, Audrey.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Kachi, what's your mind?
Hi, Kalu. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, thank you, Kalu. I always look forward to your spaces every Sunday.
Thank you.
I just want to have a question here. If, for instance, I don't receive dividend on a particular stock I'm holding, who do I contact? Is it my broker or the registrar for that particular stock?
The registrar. You go to registrar.
Oh, okay.
The broker
That's my
has
question. Thank you.
the broker has nothing to do with it. You can just go straight to registrar. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
This says Year of Arsenal. I don't see a name. Year of Arsenal. If you got the floor, you can go ahead and speak. Year of Arsenal. There's no name there. Just says Years of Arsenal. Please go ahead and speak. Daniel, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I've been following the space for over an hour now. So my question is, I'm basically a techie. I brand companies and firms. So over the course of the year, I've been able to amass enough resources to go into the business, the restaurant business per se, which is doing well. So in addition to that, I also got a couple of books that my finance. So this particular space is talking about converting your income to passive income, which I find interesting because it is something I've been hoping to achieve during the end of this year or early next year. So basically, the business that I have been able to start this year and is running, the restaurant business, is requiring my whole attention, my whole service and all that. So right now, I'm trying to transition into having maybe one or two other business that would require as much of my attention. So I was considering maybe I could get a shop to buy electronics, freezer, other things, maybe low liquidity goods that could maybe put someone there. I won't require me to be that constant, or maybe just get a bike or keke, then get a driver. So I want to ask, what are the key things that you watch out for when transiting your finances from active and steady income to passive income? Because if you get it wrong, you could lose everything. You could lose the one that is active. You could not also succeed the one that is passive. So what are the key step-by-step guidance that we could do? How do we navigate ourselves so that to be success? And how can we succeed, sir? Thank you.
Yeah, I think the key thing is to make sure that wherever you invest in is going to be managed by someone that knows what he's doing. I hear you say you want to buy keke. Keke is active, it's not passive, because you have to fill that keke every day. So you want to invest in something that you're not going to be involved in, but the money comes. Anything you're going to put, you're going to be worried about the income coming is not passive. So that's the first thing I'll say. Who is the manager of that place you want to put your money in? Is it a corporate? Is it a person? If it's a person, how long has he done what he's doing? Is he giving you a guarantee? Things like that. I mean, the same way you invest in something, it's those same questions. If someone comes to you and says, I want to go to America and buy apples to Nigeria, who is he? Does he have a passport? How can he bring apples from America? All those questions you ask, the same thing you want to ask this person before you invest your money. Passive means you are not involved in the running or worrying about that income, but you get money. So think of it that way. If I give my money to Dangote Cement, I don't worry about cement. I know I'm going to get a dividend back. I don't have to worry about whether they're parking their cars, or where they get their limestone from. I just get the income from cement. That's what passive income means, right? So it doesn't mean you can buy equity, you can buy property, you can invest in that, but it has to be something that you are not going to be involved in. So you can then diversify away from active to passive. Does that answer your question, sir?
It's about, I would like to get, so in scenarios where I don't want to go into maybe stocks, or I want to have a physical business on ground, but I want it to be kind of passive. How do I transition it? You said I should get.
You can't. If you are involved in the business, it's not passive. You can't have the second business and call it passive. It's still active income. So if you own one restaurant and you go buy a bottling company, those are active incomes. They're not passive because you are involved in the bottling company and the restaurant. The whole idea of passive is to diversify your income away from what you are going to be doing day by day to where you simply receive the returns from an investment. That's the whole idea.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I get what I was missing now. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, super. Let me get Isaiah. Isaiah, your internet is breaking. Isaiah, real estate startup. What's up? Isaiah, go ahead. Isaiah Hermit. Yeah, I see your internet is very, very bad. Isaiah, can you speak? Isaiah going once. Okay, I've got Year of Arsenal. Yeah, please, can you speak? Year of Arsenal. Let's get Stofa Kudos. Stofa Kudos. Stofa, how you doing?
Hello, good. I'm doing fine. Good evening, sir.
What's up?
Okay, we're fine. I really appreciate your efforts in making how we all invest wisely. And my question goes like this: actually into business, actually going fine, but I'm looking for, I don't like to invest in all these international, not of inflation and Naira.
Your audio is bad. I can't hear, Christopher. Can you fix your audio and come back? I'm not really hearing what you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Please go ahead.
Okay, I said I am running a business and it's actually doing fine. I want to invest in stock.
Christopher, I can't hear you. Fix the audio and come back. I can't hear what you're saying. Let's get speaker. Let's get who is this? This is Year of Arsenal. Year of Arsenal. I've called you 3 times. I'm not hearing anything. Year of Arsenal. AAA3. Please go ahead.
Hi, Kalu.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah. Thanks for all that you do in the space. So, just a quick question for me. I like, with regard to commercial papers, I'd like you to help with what's indicative, or what do I focus on between the discount rate and the implied yield? What should be my focus? Is it the discount rate or the implied yield? That's one question. Then secondly, how do I approach from Nigeria investing in index funds in the US? Thank you.
So the implied yield is what you want to look out for. I believe when you say implied, you're referring to the yield to maturity. You're buying secondary markets, correct? That's what you're saying, right?
No, not at all. I'm actually buying like okay, so my stockbroker frequently sends there are a couple of commercial papers out there and all that. So they usually send it to me via mail. So I just wanted to know the difference. So for example, one of the mails that I got recently, the discount rate was 24.98%. And then the implied yield was 28.5%.
The discount yield is, I think that's the CBN discount rate. Is that so? Look at it this way, right? When the company issues the commercial paper, they issue the paper on Monday, and they are paying you 10%. If you buy the paper on that same Monday, you're going to get 10%. But let's say you buy the paper on Thursday. On Thursday, the interest rate in Nigeria has changed. That's the discount you're talking about. The interest rates have changed. If interest rates go up, the price of the bond comes down. If interest rates go down, the price of the bond goes up. So when they give you the implied yield, they are telling you that if you are buying today, based on the interest rates in the economy, your implied yield is no longer at 10%, but whatever yield that you are seeing that they are quoting to you. So if you buy that bond, you could be buying at a premium or at a discount. That's the implied yield. That's the yield, not the coupon, not what the company paid on Monday, but what the stock is now, or what the bond is now trading at on Thursday. That's the implied yield. So when you are buying in secondary market, which means that you are buying from them, they've bought, they are selling to you, you want to focus on the implied yield. That's what you get. But if you are buying at the primary market, when the company issued, you can only focus on coupon. So the answer for you want to look at the implied yield. That's what you are really going to get if you give them your Naira. Make sense?
Okay. All right. Okay, that makes sense. So that's the implied yield. Thank you. So how do you approach investing in index funds in the US? I'm actually looking at something that, because I'm usually very cautious, or rather mindful about fees and all that. I know index funds are usually low fees and all that, but just generally working with a broker and all that, how do I go about it?
Yeah, just find the index fund that you want to invest in. You can buy an index ETF, like call them VTI for America or VOO for America. Find the one you want to invest in. What market are you want to index? Do you want to get exposed to the index? Find it out. In Nigeria, we now have apps in Nigeria that offer you access to the US market. Registered in Nigeria, SEC registered. There's Shaka, there's Cowrie, there's Bamboo. I think there's Rise as well. All these apps can allow you, you can pay in Naira and buy into an index fund abroad, or an index ETF. You can buy an ETF that tracks the index as well. So find whatever you want to buy, go online and say, if I want to buy UK market, just type, what's the equity index for the UK market, to give it to you. And they categorize in many ways, can give you only blue chip or small caps or large caps, whatever. If you buy VT, I give people Fidelity because Vanguard, because it's massive and costs are low. And I always like ETFs than index funds. Vanguard has something called VT. So VT means you're going to buy all the stocks on earth that are good, quote unquote, that meet that criteria. VT is just, you're going to buy everything. After VT, there's VTI. So your VTI is just American stocks, 5,000 of them, about 5,000. After VTI, there's VOO. VOO is talking about not just American stocks, but the top 500. So there's VT, then VTI, then VOO. So you can see how they break it down. So if you want to be exposed to the larger market, VT. Want to expose to just American market, VTI. Just exposed to just 500 American stocks, VOO. If you don't want to buy American stock, you want to buy everything apart from American stocks, there's VXUS. So VXUS, you just buy everything, Shell, Toyota, no American stock. So the answer is find where you want to be exposed to. If you want to buy Greece, look for the Greece index fund. Then you go to your Nigerian app and say, do they have this index fund as listed on the app? If they have it, fantastic. If they don't have it, then you have to do something else. Does that work for you?
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So you'd rather ETF, right?
I prefer ETFs for certain other reasons, but if you can kind of index fund, your call.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Isaiah, what's on your mind, sir? Isaiah.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
Fine. Thank you so much for the good work you are doing. And I just want to make this might not be very related, but I've been trying to hit you on your profile for a while now concerning an idea. I don't know if you have a mentorship program that one can pay to enroll in. I have been in residential real estate business here in Abuja, and it has been very great. Like this year was extraordinary for me. And next year, I want to venture into commercial real estate and do other things. Before now, I have tried my best to study to do some online schools, majorly from outside the country, like ABS and Coursera, to just like learn more about real estate, financing, and other things. And it dawned on me clearly that real estate is more about finance than about engineering or anything else. And I've been trying, and from the little I have been able to study, but basically from online schools that are like lectures that have nothing to do with Nigeria or Nigerian legislation, or the legal framework in Nigeria and the economic distance understanding in Nigeria. I felt like there's still a void.
So I said, what's the question? Yeah.
So the question now is this: if you have a paid mentorship program that one can enroll in, and secondly, if there is any way that I can have if there is any way that I can get in touch with you maybe after this night for us to like maybe have a talk, like I can get your email or maybe contact phone number that we could talk.
I don't have any paid mentorship. I don't usually do that. I just do this what I do on Twitter. Yeah. If you want, you can send me a DM if you want to buy. This is all I do. Just this stuff on Twitter. And yeah. But this is something you can talk to me privately on this, but we're trying to do like education on this side. So that's a private arrangement, Isaac. So let's talk about it later on. Let's go Olabisi. Olabisi.
Yeah, good evening, Kalu.
How you doing?
Thank you for this. Very well, thank you. I've been listening for more than 2 hours now. So I just want to ask again, because you did one simple math where you're comparing rental income versus over the cost of the project, and you did 10 million over 150 million, which came to about 6%. But what I want to ask is, are we not considering situations where your 10 million the next year or 20 million, your rent could go to like 20 million or 30 million? Isn't that a way to also look at it like rental income is not that bad?
No, I mean, your income is per annum, right? It's per annum. So look at what we're doing. If you have 1 naira, you can invest in the stock market, you can invest in the bond market, you can invest in the dollar, in the foreign currency market, you can also invest in property. So how do we compare across different asset classes? We have to compare the return or the yield. So to compare property with bonds, we have to compare what they give us if we invest the same amount of money. That's what we call the yield. So how do we calculate yield? Yield is what we make divided by what we have invested, what we make for that period. So let's pick a period. We can pick a period January 2024 till December 2024. And the point I'm making is if you take 100 million and you buy bonds, you will come to pay you 20 to 30%. This is the government. So that means there's no risk. 20 to 30% risk-free, quote unquote, right, from the government. So park that on one side. If I take 100 million and I buy property, what is the rent? Do you know any place in Lekki that is paying more than 10 million rent? For whatever the property is, rent is more than 10 million. Do you know any place in Lekki? Not dollar, naira. Do you know any place in Lekki?
It's still within that range.
Yeah. So if there's no one that pays 20 million naira rent in Lekki, you know that, right? 20 million per annum. So, and that's your rental. So if you look at 20 million has to give you 20, to make 20% to match the federal government bond, you have to do 20 million rent. So you can see that the return on property is very, very low. Where property excels is that the property rises in pace with inflation. So the asset value of property will beat inflation, but the return will not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
And
Thank you very much.
That's what I'm saying.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome, sir. All right, guys, we're going to wind it down pretty soon. Let's get Sheon hopping right in. What's on your mind, Sheon?
Good evening, Mr. Kalu.
Hey, what's up, man?
So I really like the last question you answered. And just to say again, I joined it, so you might have handled my case, and I'll just put it out there. So I've been thinking of this passive income thing, and last month I leased for an apartment in my area on the mainland for just a, how I put it, a mini flat. And I got it for 5 million. And the plan was it's for 17 years. And the plan was for me to, just have something that brings in rent yearly. So my calculations were in the area, on the average, rent for a mini flat on the average is about like 800K. So I don't know. I just want to try it out and then see how it works out. So my plan, like I said, was just to get it and not wait for the 17 years. Now, basically, why I'm thinking of this is, I don't know, it was developed by a developer, so I'm not pretty sure if it's going to last for 17 years. So I'm thinking get rent for 3 to 4 years or 5 years. And then at that point, sell out and then maybe invest the money in something else.
So let me understand what you're saying. You want to buy property?
So I leased it already. I bought it already.
Okay.
For 17 years, yes.
You leased or bought?
So I leased it for 17 years. It's a lease.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes. So, and then like I said, rent in the area is about 800,000 on the average.
Okay, so what's the so how much did you lease it for?
Okay, so let me rephrase. I didn't buy it. Someone leased it to me.
I know. What are you paying for these? What's the lease?
5 million.
A year.
A mini flat, not like it's a big apartment.
So
every
let's start all over again. So how much are you paying the guy? How much are you paying the guy?
So I paid the guy 5 million.
5 million for all the years. For the how many years?
Yes, for all the years.
Okay, so let's do 5 million divided by how many years?
17 now.
17 years. So every year you are paying 294. Okay. So
exactly.
what's your rental per year?
So on the average, now just looking at the area, rental is 800K.
Okay. So you are making in terms of yield. Let's just use let's use 300.
Okay. So that would be 500 yearly.
That's about 266% yield every year.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the question?
So my question now is, because of the so most times when developers build houses, they don't really use quality materials and all of that. So in my head, I'm thinking there's a possibility as time goes by, it would begin to tell on the house that maybe in 10 years, you begin to see cracks and traces that, they didn't use quality materials. So I am thinking in my head, instead of me waiting for that time, I just get rent for say 4 to 6 years and then I sell it off too. So I was asked.
Well, how can you sell it off? How can you sell it off?
Okay, so not sell it off, just sell the lease off too. Since I still have at that time I would have still 11 years on it.
Well, if I got a property that was paying me 266%, I wouldn't sell it. Why would I sell it? It's beating inflation. If it cracks and I made my money for 5 years, I've made my money back that I paid the guy, right? So if you pay the guy, was the guy drunk when he gave you this deal or what?
So there are lots of deals like this on the mainland, a whole lot.
Why would he give out the property for 5 million when he knows he can do the same thing you are doing?
So now I'm not thinking for them, but what I've noticed is most times they have multiple of these projects going on, and then they get stuck, and then they need money to exactly.
All right. So I mean, like you said, good call. So that means every year, if you have this for how many years before you make what's your break even? Look at your break even. That's going to be your main thing. Look at your break even year. That's what it's called your IRR, your rate of return, or your break even years. When are you going to make your principal back? Make your principal back first of all. Then you then say, okay, how much return do you want to make on this deal? If it's 100%, 200%, when you do that, before it's time to talk about, okay, let's see if I can sell it off and all that. If you can keep it for the whole 17 years, it's a cash cow. Because once you pay back the principal, it just gives you pure cash profit. And the returns are so high that it beats inflation. Like you said, the problem is going to be to maintain the property for the next 70 years, which means that when you go to your accountant, you have to depreciate this building very, very carefully. So you have a reserve to fix the building up. So I would not take all the profit away as profit. I will put some aside to renovate this building, say in 5 years' time. So that way you reduce this your 2 to 6% return by allocating some money for repairs and renovation. So at that time you can plow it back into the asset, bring it back up to speed, and even increase the rents if possible. So you can keep on maximizing this yield. So it's a very, very good deal. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
Have a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Odyssey, you got your hand up. Odyssey, let's go ahead. Odyssey into BC. What's up? Odyssey, your hand is up. Are you going to speak? Okay, let's get. So, guys, we're going to round off. We need to go and close. I got John.
Hello. Yeah, I'm speaking.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Good evening.
Hi, what's up?
Thank you so much for all you do. I have been following your page for a while. My name is Unubisi Odisi. I'm a farmer, and I wanted to ask what you think about mutual funds, and if it's advisable. Let's say someone gets a loan, and due to the kind of risky nature of farming, and the loan like a moratorium, if he can split the loan into two, invest in a mutual fund, and use the rest for the business, just to have that as a backup. So I just wanted to get to know everything, the conditions, and like when does mutual funds start paying. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Okay, let me answer your question in these two ways. Yeah, so a mutual fund is just a name for like an Esusu fund. You put your money together in an Esusu, and they take the money and they invest, and you guys share the returns. That's all a mutual fund is. You pull money together into a fund, hence the word mutual fund. Many of you put money together into one fund. The fund invests. When the fund gets returns, the fund shares its returns back to you. So mutual fund simply means that's what it means. To your question about if you should borrow for the farm and all that, as a general rule, I don't like people borrowing. Or you have to tell me what you're going to do with the borrowing first. What will the borrowing do on the farm? Tell me, what do you want to use the money to do on the farm?
Okay, I have an idea for a meat app that I wouldn't want to divulge all of the features, but it's way beyond tracking deliveries and getting meat and all that. But it's just basically a meat app with some kind of amazing features. So I've already got like a front-end developer. I just needed some funds to do some basic things like buying it.
So it's not a guaranteed thing. The meat app can work. The meat app might not work, but it's not guaranteed it's going to work. So because of that, I wouldn't advise you borrowing to do that, because once you borrow, it's going to be a term loan, which means that you must pay the bank back, whether it works or doesn't work. Rather, when you want to take a risk, you use equity, or what we call patient capital, to take a risk. So your family, friends, savings, low interest loans from your cooperative, that's what you want to use to take a risk. Because if you fail, you have time or a lower cost to repay. If you take a bank loan to take a risky investment, that's not what bank loans are for. Bank loans are for working capital, which means that, for instance, you have an order to supply meat to somebody, but you have no cash, but the meat order is there, you have an LPO. You can take a bank loan, supply the meat, The customer pays you pay back the bank. Very, very short, very, very targeted. You shouldn't use a bank loan to invest because you are having fixed cost but an uncertain return. So I wouldn't advise that you borrow for that.
Okay, sir, I get you, and I'm not trying to be like, that was why I wanted to like invest in the mutual funds, like those being advertised.
Yeah, but what's the return? The bank is not foolish, right? So what's the return on the loan versus the return in mutual fund? Can you guarantee the return in mutual fund?
Okay, the loan was for about 20% interest. Then the mutual fund says their return is between 15 to 20%. The way I heard it, they say depending on the bank.
But it's not guaranteed.
For the mutual funds, I don't really know. That's why I'm asking. I don't really know.
So if you look at the margin, look at your margin. You are saying you want to borrow at 20 and pay back earn at 20 and pay back at 20. It's very, very tight. And you're going to pay fees and all that kind of stuff. So again, if you are borrowing at 10 and you are earning 100, there's a big margin of safety there. But you have no margin of safety. Your bank is borrowing you money at how much? At 20, and you're going to make 15 to 20. There's no margin of safety there. You get what I'm saying? There's no margin there. So I wouldn't advise you borrow for that. There are other things you can borrow for. Like I said, you borrow for working capital. You are sure of the returns coming in. You just need funds immediately to process an order. It's very, very short term. You just want to go in and out. But to borrow for a bank to run a farm, you are incurring a fixed cost with uncertain returns. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Just my opinion.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get Marida, Nigeria. Marida, what's your mind? Marida going once, Marida going twice. Let's get Marida, are you speaking? Okay.
Hello?
Hello. Very, very bad audio. What? I gotta take you off, Marida. Your audio is very bad. Marida, text me your question. All right, we get Glitter's World. Glitter's World, you've got the floor. We've got Mentus. Mentus, how you doing? Mentus Nameka Chinwokyogu.
Good evening, Kalu.
How's it going?
Good. Okay, thanks very much for the space. I've been one of your strongest fans, and I appreciate what you do every weekend.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you too.
So in one of your last engagement, yourself and your friend, is it Ade? What is his name?
Olumide.
Olumide, yes. So you somebody asked specific question with respect to financial advice, and you advise the person to go with Money Africa or something. So I took that advantage and booked a section with them, and then they recommended some. We had more or less like financial engagements, and then they gave some advice. So this was a few months close to the general U.S. election. So I invested in some of these things they gave me, and then something just told me to invest in Tesla, and I was able to buy a few shares, and that has done almost 43%. As I last checked last week. So my question this time is, what do you see in the future of Tesla with respect to all the developments the selfless driver taxi and all of what they are doing? Do you think it's still undervalued, still a good buy going before 2025 or at least within 2025? Thank you.
Yeah, that's so again, I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not giving you financial advice.
Yeah.
Nothing I say here should be used as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Yeah. So Tesla is look at the good thing let me give you the good side for Tesla. They have scale. Tesla is building electric cars. And when you are into manufacturing, The person that wins is whoever has scale. Scale means who can produce more at a cheaper price. There's Tesla in the US, there's Tesla in Germany, there's Tesla in China. They want to open Tesla in India. So what you see is that the cost per car for Tesla is coming down, which means even if Volkswagen or Toyota or the rest can actually build an electric car, they can't build it at the cost of Tesla. So as a positive for Tesla, he might be the default electric car, especially if he keeps on dropping his prices to match what the Chinese are doing. Chinese are the #1 car dealers in the world because they can manufacture cars at $20,000 per car. So that's the advantage for Tesla, #1. The other big thing for him is that he's very, very close to the administration in America today. So if there's any hope that maybe regulations would have affected him, he's been trying for a long time to get approval to do driverless cars, driverless taxis in America, hasn't been given. With this administration, he has a better chance because he's in tag with the president-elect, which means that it's easier for him to get these things approved and tested and then start to run at scale. So that's another positive for him. So if you look at those two things, it looks like he might be a good buy. That's why you see the stock going up. The stocks went up after the elections. When Mr. Trump won, he also went up. But it's a good company. The cars they are making more cars at a cheaper price. So all things being equal, they might become the dominant force in EVs in America. The bad side for Tesla is that Americans don't really like electric cars. They still prefer internal combustion cars to date. So it might be selling, but is it selling in an expanding market? That's the question you want to ask yourself. So that's where you have to. Number two, Tesla is very, very expensive stock. Look at the price to earnings ratio, and they don't pay dividends. So if you are buying Tesla today, you are buying Tesla today to hope that the price will keep on going up to justify your price. You're not going to get any dividends from Tesla in the next future. They reinvest their income. So that's the plus and that's the other side. And I hope from there you can make your call. You've already bought, so you're a shareholder. Hang in there and let's see.
All right, thanks very much. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, we're going to take last questions. I've got Glitters World, I've got Jonathan, I've got Amy, and then we'll call today, right? So Glitters World, go for it. Last 3 questions. Glitters World, go for it.
All right, yes. Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
Kalu, thank you for that day.
Yeah.
My name is Latifat. Yes, I'm the owner of Glitters World Productions.
Okay.
So the thing is, I started my business 3 years ago. So when I started with normal importation. Like, I like the idea of buying things from China, the way they package it and put our name on it. So I feel proud of it. Like, when I post it online, I feel more bossy. So that's why I choose to import goods by myself then. So unfortunately for me, I ran into loss. So that I had to pay some people's debts because I usually run pre-order then. So I have to pay back some people. So a few months later, I decided to start up again some way, somehow. Like, I started as a dropshipper by collecting pictures from friends and families, like people that have items at hand, people that sell it for wholesale. So I started by posting their pictures. So I was able to get.
So what's the question? What's the question?
Sorry, I just want, please, allow me to.
No, but you have to ask a question.
All right, sir. So the thing is, I don't know, my business now, I'm running it from home. So, like, I have a mini store I created in the city room that I'm using to sell my stuff. So I don't know if there is any possibility of me getting an investor, because as it is now, my business is like 1 million now, like 1 million naira now. So I don't know, and I've been able to gather everything from zero capital. So I don't know if there is any possibility of me getting an investor for my kind of business, if they will not look down on my business. I've gotten the necessary paperwork, all the necessary documents is available.
Okay,
so that's my question.
So yeah, so it's really good to be at your stage of business. You're a startup, family, friends, guys that do seed capital. That's really where you're going to invest, because people on the space might not know you. I might know you, but they might not know you. So I would say this paper say you have, post it on Twitter and ask for investment on Twitter. Someone can pick it up and read, put your income, your expenses, your registration, and say, I want this amount of money. If you want more information, send me a DM and we talk. Put it on your space, put it on your page, put your returns and all that, advertise yourself. But you're a startup, so people are going to be, you are more risky than a normal company. So, but advertise yourself and see what happens. All right, let's get Jonathan. Jonathan, what's your mind? Jonathan? Hi, what's up?
Good evening, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah. My name is Jonathan. I'm a student of University of Ibadan, and my question is, I want you, sir, to explain to me how a student like me can have financial security. And what I'm doing presently is that I am affiliating for companies that sells cars.
What year are
That's
you
what I
in?
do.
What year are you in?
300 level.
Just my advice is to focus on your education, come out with a good degree, learn a skill from that university, learn a skill, focus on that, and come out. That's what I advise you to do. Yeah, focus on, pick a skill that you think you can. I'm not trying to blow you up, but you have the internet, right? You can go onto the internet, free resources, learn about investing. I have a book. I do this every weekend. If you follow me, you would learn a lot. Go to the internet, learn a lot, get through your education, start something, but I can't, I'm not going to be able to tell you individually what to do. It's too, yeah. So if you have a question, I can answer, but I can't give you individual steps. I'm not your advisor per se. I'm just trying to do the stuff. But if you have a question specific to me, send to me and I'll be able to answer, right? But yeah. Well, let's get Amy. Welcome. Amy Vanguard. Amy Vanguard, what's her man? Amy Vanguard going once, Amy Vanguard going twice.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Kalu, for all you do in terms of financial literacy. Very much appreciated. Very grateful for this. My question is quite simple. I'm a first-time investor in index funds, in U.S. index funds.
Which one?
I don't know. Yeah, NASDAQ. I was given three options. One is broad index funds. The other one is, I think, the regular index funds. And the last one is NASDAQ. So I was just thinking, which one should I go for? Because I know that the economic boom that is going to happen under Donald Trump and all of that. So I'm really interested.
We really can't answer that question because you're asking me which car should you buy. Should you buy a Mercedes or a BMW or an Audi? We can't answer that question. We can only say, what do you want to do with the car? Yeah. If you want to go long distance, you have to buy a bus. If you want to go short distance, buy a coupe. So the answer is that what will Donald Trump do? Banks are going to do very well. Energy is going to do very well. You have Elon, so tech is going to do very well. Okay, if you are buying the index, you don't have to worry which ones you are buying because you are buying everything. But NASDAQ is IT heavy. S&P is S&P 500 stocks, right? Dow is 30 stocks. So index means you are buying everything. So you're not worrying about the individual, whether the components are doing well or good. You are buying everything. But that NASDAQ is tech heavy. That's just the answer for you. So if you don't know what to buy the index if you think America will do well, because that would give you access or exposure to that market. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That works? All right, folks. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. We've been here 3 hours, believe it or not, talking about how to do your budget, how to convert your active to your passive income. I hope you guys will take it into practice and get it done. We'll come back next week and we'll try to do it again. Thank you so much, guys, and bye.
Thank you, sir.